couple distinct things I think we've been missing throughout the year this year here, Miff. I think it's been, you're telling me an Alien War this? We haven't heard that one in forever. And then I don't know what kind of graphics quality I can play on these Alienware PCs. It's Ultra, of course. And you at home can be playing Smite on Ultra, of course. If you head on over to smitegame.com/Alienware and use code AWSmite09, because Alienware has been with us all year long. They've been with our players all year long, our production staff as well. And they can be with you at home, playing games on some top-of-the-line machinery. So thanks again to Alienware for powering us here in Season 9 of the Smite Pro League. My name is Dolson. Mifflin, unfortunately, just kidding, is with me on the desk. You've been testing my patience today, Miff. We're going to run a tight ship here. I want a no-nonsense desk segment. And we're going to get into Game 1 with no chaos, all right?
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it, Miff. What do you think of our first set of the day? Do you think one of the bottom teams here has a chance to make some moves in the standings?
I have, coming in today, I had a little bit more faith in the Valkyries in this Titans matchup. I think, bottom versus the top, a bit lopsided theoretically, but maybe not in play on field. Seems like something's in the air today. I don't know. Maybe the Valkyries can do it.
Something in the air today for sure, Miff. Keeping my eyes on you. Let's see what matches we've got throughout the rest of the day here today. Tartarus Titans versus the Valhalla Valkyries. That's the meat in our triple header sandwich. Oni Warriors, J Dragons will finish out the day. Olympus Bolts Leviathans start the day tomorrow. Then the second to last weekend of the phase. That ends with J Dragons Titans. So the Titans, couple matches in the last 2 days. This was a triple header weekend for them, so there was a lot of moving around in the standings for this team, at least potential-wise. And I think an important roadblock type matchup for the Valhalla Valkyries here against the Tartarus Titans in the standings. And it's something we've talked about a little bit. Remember, the top 6 teams are the ones who go to Phase 3 playoffs. The top 4 teams from that event go straight to the quarterfinals of the Smite World Championship. So the Valks, the hashtag Valks to 6 movement, it's been happening on Twitter a little bit. They're 2 wins behind the Olympus Bolts. Could close to 1 if they're able to find a win against the Tartarus Titans here in this matchup. So a lot to play for, Miff. Traditionally, though, we would give the favorite in this matchup to the Titans, and I think tradition extends to this match as well. It's a team that hasn't gone on big streaks throughout Phase 3, but has built up an identity for themselves. Remember, they've had some roster changes, coaching changes, things like that as well. Do you think the Titans are in a strong spot?
I don't think the Titans have quite reached the peaks that we'd seen earlier in the season, but I think they are starting to piece together how they're approaching their play style as we get closer and closer to Worlds. As far as individual players, I mean, if we're talking about like SOT, he's still playing at the peak of his game. That guy is still, for my money, one of those mechanical players in the league. Paul's starting to figure out a couple of gods now that he's getting really comfortable on as well. Has been really, really upping his performance, specifically on set. I've been on record saying that set hasn't looked the best for him in the past, but as of recent, been having really good performances out of the mid lane from him. So the Titans are building, but still need to get back to their former glory.
Yeah, great. Look, Sot, out of the solo lane, you mentioned him. Great at Guan Yu, great at Xing Chen. Is he great at interviews, though? We'll find out now. Sot standing by for the pregame interview.
Well, let's hope that both of us are pretty good interviews in this case. J-Mac and SOT standing by for the pregame interview. And Sot, you're going up against the Valhalla Valkyries. You guys have been a little bit on the rise. There's the hashtag Valks6 right now. And specifically for you, you're going against Aquarius, who has really seemed to have kind of stepped up themselves in that solo lane. What's it like going against a player like Aqua over in the solo lane?
Yeah, no, Aqua has been a long-time player. He's been playing SPL since before I ever joined SPL. He's a great player. He's all around solid player. He kind of does, things solid. It kind of reminds me of sort of like Benji, kind of, him and Benji back in the day were, like the top laners, like 16-5 or something. So yeah, he's a great player.
Yeah, and definitely has been stepping up for his team, has kind of been one of the big playmakers out there. And kind of specifically on this tier matchup, it's something that you kind of ran a show with a couple of weeks back, something that he's been really strong performing on. Seems kind of a mixing of the god pools out there. Do you think that when it comes down to maybe this drafting phase, there'll be some priorities thrown over towards the two of you?
Honestly, I think our drafting is a bit different. I mean, we both like the tier, we both like, stuff like Herc. But I think he's more of a fan of more so gods that kind of chill in lane and make an impact kind of late game or in team fights. And I think, personally, I don't think solo laners will be focused in this draft. or even in the game. Honestly, I feel like it's probably just gonna be like a farm lane, probably 0-0-0 until like 15 minutes or something. That's what I think.
Now, there's been a lot of talk, obviously, with the beads Aegis interaction. You can only get one or the other. Most people are going towards the beads. Do you think that as a solo laner, this affects you maybe some of the least out of the roles, or do you think that this kind of interaction still has a lot of play, maybe in some of the selections that you and your team are going to be making?
Yeah, I think it kind of impacts solo lane pretty much zero. Because we don't really get Aegis too much unless we're playing like a full damage god, maybe like, I don't know, Thor or something. But yeah, it doesn't really impact us, and it doesn't really impact our picks either, because we don't really one-shot. Aegis doesn't really play much of an effect on solo laners. I mean, if anything, maybe sometimes it makes us worse, because you can get like a Sunder. Like I think Jorkor got Sunder. Carries can get bracers, shells. Some of those things can be kind of more annoying than an Aegis.
Now, one final question you saw, going against the Valhalla Valkyries, you're looking across the booth. Who is the player that's kind of that standout kind of threat on that team that maybe you and your team need to kind of focus on, maybe even taking a couple of picks away or maybe trying to focus out in that game so that way you guys can secure a win?
No one.
No one?
No, but I think Venikyu probably. Venikyu's a solid player. He's a great rank player. He's got good mechanics. I mean, for me, Kirimi, because he's a jungler. I hate junglers. I hate when they do their job. They ruin my life. So, yeah, Benny or Kirimi probably.
So Benny or Kimi, maybe the players to focus out on the Valkyries. SOT, thanks for coming by for the pregame interview. I'll get you back with the team, and we'll throw it back over to Des to keep it going.
I think some good information to take away from that interview. Honestly, most notably, the last little bit right there, Miff, when you're looking at some of the power players on this Valhalla Valkyries team, where does Sot put his respect? I think earlier on in the year, this was a Valkyries team that was still finding a lot of their identity. I think have spread out the answer to that question a bit as of late. I think you could identify various win conditions on this Valkyries team over the last few weeks.
Yeah, but it seems like the win conditions aren't consistent.
You're right.
Like one day it's going to be Benny Q because he's doing like raw stuff. I'm thinking back to like Searing Pain hitting 3 back in the day. Or one day it's going to be Aqua when he's absolutely dominating on picks like Tier and stealing objectives and finding multi-man fearlesses. Or maybe Kirmi just has a great performance. I think the only consistency for the Valkyries as of recent used to be a consistent weakness, has since then become a very strong asset for this team. The dual lane of Gamma and Wowie have really stepped up. But we're going to talk about the hot hand. I think you have to talk about Aqua because he has been having great performances as of late, has really figured out the pacing to his own lane, has been rotating a little bit more proactively as opposed to what he was doing within the last phase or two, phase 1 and 2, I should say, where SOT brings up the comparison of Aqua to Benji. Yeah, I mean, they both were playing standard lane bullies that would largely just hang out in the solo and generate pressure there. But recently, I would say Aqua has become more of a facilitator for his team, and you'll see him make early rotations around level 11 or 12 towards these mid camps or get involved in early gold Fury fights. Really does want to have his impact known on the map. Might be a byproduct of the enhanced performance that we've seen from the Valkyries dual lane recently. I do love this clip, by the way. Variety just gets styled on. And because that dual lane has been looking a lot better, Aqua decides that he wants to facilitate them a little bit more often. But that is a conversation about holistic identities for the Valhalla Valkyries and how they choose to play. I'm excited to see it. Every time the Valkyries play, it is one of the most interesting things happening in the SPL because they have almost got that OG Dragon Slayer, Solar Scarabs mentality of on any given day, they might just show up and body their opposition.
Yeah, beat the Camelot Kings in 3 2 sets ago when we saw them. Lost to the Oni Warriors yesterday. And so it's a team that has been streaky, right? It's been a lot of lost streaks, sprinkle in some 3-game sets here or there, finally get another win going this phase against the Kings. I wonder with Aquarius specifically, though, because it's been a lot of tier. It's been 4 out of the last 6 have been tier, 2 of those wins, 2 of those losses. The wins looked really good. Losses almost looked like a non-factor. Outside of that, I suppose you go to Bologna. That's been one of his popular picks, Hades, things like that. And so where the dynamic starts to roll there, I think could be interesting. But SOT doesn't seem to think that solo lane is going to get identified much in picks and bans. We'll find out in game number 1 as the Titans and the Valkyries go toe-to-toe. Titans under less threat of dropping out of the top 6. The Bolts really the ones that are on that edge right now. Titans under no threat from the Scarabs. It's only the Valkyries now that could leapfrog either the Bolts or the Titans. At this point, Scarabs, remember, they have to win out. Bolts would have to lose out to keep things interesting. And so this one, higher pressure maybe for the Valkyries. Titans still trying to figure out that identity. Wonder on that topic though from Sotmif. I mean, are you tossing a banner to Aquarius's way if you're the Tartarus Titans, maybe in the second wave if he doesn't have his pick? Do you think there's value in taking the tier?
Yeah, I mean, with tier being such a consistent piece that the Valkyries have gone towards, maybe you do ban it out in first phase, but there are so many meta selections right now that I feel like have got a bit more priority. The ADCs seem to be really strong right now. CERN and Ishtar dominate the meta ever so slightly. Maybe you want to deal with some of these absolutely dominant solo laners like Hades. So, am I going to ban tier in first phase? Probably not, but if it does get to second phase and solo lane is still a possibility for the Valkyries, I'd probably toss one Aqua's way.
Yeah, I wonder where then. I mean, so you're looking at the Titans and where they've started to establish their win conditions. One big thing that I remember early on in this year was feeling like Paul wasn't doing, the typical Paul hard carry type thing. I think we've seen a bit more of that recently. Finally, the team has kind of gotten back to a little bit of that for Paul. Absolutely, has always been and always will be a win condition and an X factor for this Titans team. But the mid lane matchup becomes very, very interesting here where Paul has got his established sort of play style, his sort of pick category. And then Miff in that interview, Sot talked a bit about BennyQ and how BennyQ remains a pretty big threat. Haven't seen the BennyQ knockdown, drag out, hard carry performance either, but still great at facilitating his team.
Yeah, Benny's more of an X factor for the Valkyries than anything.
Yeah.
Is he going to play his standard? If yes, it's Merlin, and this isn't exactly a Merlin meta. Otherwise, Benny at times has gone towards a bit more of the eclectic. The Agni comes to mind. He's the only guy that's piloted that recently. Poseidon seems to be one of his mainstays as well, and in current meta, due to current circumstances, Poseidon seems like a pretty strong pick. So one that the Valkyries could be looking towards. Instead, Valkyries do put some attention towards mid, take away one of Paul's favorite of the most recent weeks. That Set, not an option anymore for the Titans.
Yeah, Paul has liked the Morrigan. Soul looked really good. 7-0-7 on a Soul, 6-3-9 on Morrigan against the Solar Scarabs, and that's what I mean when you're starting to get back to some of the really good looks for Paul. It's been a variety of picks and a variety of win conditions. Valhalla Valkyries, they really like the Ymir, as do seemingly the rest of the supports in the league. Ymir has been first pick almost all weekend long, and so that'll be where Gamma ends up going. Aurora's played a lot of Ymir as well, and so probably a smart takeaway by the Valhalla Valkyries, but that's left open the Ishtar myth, and the rise of Ishtar continues. 33 games played.
Quickly.
Sense availability, yeah, very, very quickly. And then 36 games played for Vulcan. That might be 1-1 as far as tier lists goes in mid and ADC in the current meta.
Just tons of pressure from Ishtar. Great itemization if she decides to go down that crit tree. Generally, it's just a lot of anti-heal, Shadow Steel, Shuriken, very, very powerful. And Ishtar probably one of the best, if not the best hunter in the game to utilize crit because of that shotgun auto attack. Makes her so strong around these neutral objectives. Vulcan was meta before the most recent changes in the last couple of weeks with the Beats Aegis situation, but has only gotten better since then. Great confirmation for objectives, phenomenal team fight presence, and really good sleeper DPS on objectives. The turret just essentially another hunter for you at every phase of the game. The Valks, though, still students in the meta. That's Susano. Incredibly powerful right now. Just really disruptive in these team fights. Has phenomenal 100-0 potential. But AMC is a pick I wasn't expecting to see this week because it just feels like AMC, almost more than any other pick that we've seen, is going to really, really struggle without that Aegis.
Yeah. Look, because AMC, the value is big stinger, set up for blow up for the rest of your team, but with lack of mobility, heavily relies on the defensive relics. I'm foreseeing Earthshakers on top of bees later on at this game. And you get late enough into a game and those are going to be one-shotting. So, positioning then very, very important for the AMC. Should this land in BennyQ's hands. Haven't seen it in duo lane and forever, it feels like, so I'd assume this would be BennyQ's pick. Second wave of bans starting to roll through, though. That'll be the Cthulhu and the Soul taken away by the Tartarus Titans, and then the Thor, sneaky Thor ban sent Layers' way. And Layers has had an interesting kind of power curve in his last handful of sets. You know, some where he just sort of disappears, you know, he wins, but he's kind of been a fly on the wall. Then a really good Robin game against the Solar Scarabs. If you're looking at a player to build up some consistency as this phase goes on, I think Layers is a fantastic place to start.
Yeah, I wonder what that trajectory has been for Layers recently, right? Because when we're talking about his initial transition to the Tartarus Titans, it was a whole lot of early game presence.
Yep.
He was treating himself as a win condition every single time, was willing to play aggressively and at times even selfishly. But since then has really, I suppose, evened out or cooled down a bit.
Yep.
And has been having a bit more of a quiet performance, acting more so as a facilitator throughout the early game. But it's a thin line between facilitator and just negligible, right? Just not exactly present. I think at times Layers has strayed towards the invisible portion in a couple of these sets. Erlong Shen, not a pick that you're allowed to do that on. Gotta get involved early. Feast or famine, the name of the game with Erlong. If you get a great start, you probably keep it rolling throughout the entirety of the game. If you don't do a whole lot throughout the late game, you're just a blink, taunt, and then turtle form away type of pick.
Yep. Went 3-1-11 on Erlong Shen against the Solar Scarabs in a win. Remember, that was a game where the rest of the Titans really stepped up as well. Amaterasu, that'll be the pick for Aquarius. And the Valkyries self-banned out the tier. They did not want to allow the Tartarus Titans to pick that one for themselves. And then with a couple, really I guess Cupid, CERN both taken away, Ishtar as well. You're kind of dipping into the best of the rest type of category there, and maybe that's where Ho Yi falls.
Yeah, I mean, Magical Hunter is still available. Freya stands out as one that could have been locked in instead of the Ho Yi, but it's really just Yarkor piloting that pick recently, so instead, you've got the God of the Reigning Suns, brings you great space control in some of these team fights, single target CC as well, so catch Ishtar unaware, she'll probably have to use her ultimate to immune some of these stuns, or Erlong Shen so telegraphed in his gap close, you can stop the ferret or the turtle form in its tracks. Same with Atlas, takes a really long time to channel that pull in from the second ability, so Ho Yi's got the time to respond to it. Otherwise, it's a pick that has largely fallen off in the meta. I'm not so certain that Ho Yi really utilizes either of the two very popular hunter builds right now. He's not exactly the, hey, I want a full stack attack speed yellow numbers type of pick. Can go down that crit tree, but doesn't really do it like everybody else does.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're relying on Stinger then to shred some protections, and you hopefully melt down this Atlas, melt down this Guan Yu. Talk to me about some individual matchups, though, Miff. You're getting later on in this game. We've talked about how threatening Vulcan maybe can be to the AMC specifically.
Very.
Are you leaning on Kirmi, on Susano, then, to be threatening to the Vulcan in exchange?
I mean, that is the current situation, right? Assassins counter mages, and mages do the exact same thing. It's just whichever one spots you first. Because the TTK is so low with these picks right now, because there aren't exactly the greatest options for either Vulcan or Susano to deal with each other besides just land your damage first.
Yep.
I think it really will come down to, in the latest portions of this match, whether or not Kirmi's able to gap close onto this Vulcan. If Vulcan is allowed to hang out in the back and wait for the taunt from Erlong or wait for a pull from Atlas, Earthshaker is going to remove just about anybody from the game, and sometimes you probably won't even have to wait for it because AMC is so immobile. Just toss one his way and you might just remove him from the game.
Well, Miff, you know, we've talked about Layers, his trajectory, the type of pacing that he has or hasn't set on Titans games specifically in the past. You've got an Erlong Shen, you might get Mannequin Scepter, and you're going up against the Susano early in the game. Do you think it's up to Layers to set the pace for this Titans team in game one?
I would expect Layers to be having a field day wherever this AMC is. If I'm Erlong Shen and I've got an opportunity to look down the God of Bees, I am cheesing, like ear to ear, man. It is one of Erlong Shen's favorite matchups pre-5. Post-5, you got to be concerned about the turn and burn potential of AMC, just Stinger and a swarm of bees, and all of a sudden you're removed from the game. But if you kill him before then and you've got a lead, it's pretty easy to execute on the strategy, which is W key with Erlong.
Yeah, I wonder how Aurora starts to look in this game as well. Atlas has been reserved for just a handful of supports, it feels like, in the league up to this point. Aurora has looked good on this pick in the past. I'm thinking Hurwin, I'm thinking Aurora. Could provide some good setup for the rest of the team. Amaterasu should feel like a good facilitator. Shogun's an easy option for Aquarius. Laning phase-wise, though, you're going up against a Guan Yu. Do you expect fireworks in the solo lane, or are we farming it up till team fight time?
I think SOT had a pretty good read, man. There's not a a whole lot those two are going to do against each other. The only thing that might be interesting is that Amaterasu might dictate the level order of Guan Yu.
Sure.
Generally, you want to max Tao Lu, but can't exactly do that. A large channeled ability doesn't work against Amaterasu because of the silence on her dash. So might be the dash from Guan Yu maxed out first, but otherwise not so concerned about it. You've got the sustain. You've got the ability to clear wave with clear autos.
Yep.
I don't think there's going to be a whole lot happening unless junglers get involved. And even in that regard, it's probably more likely that Erlong Shen has a successful gank in duo than Susanoo will up against Guan Yu.
Yeah, you would think.
Or solo, rather.
And I look towards duo as well. I mean, we talked about Aurora on this Atlas a little bit. I think Gamma on Ymir is an interesting point because I don't remember if it was you and I or Trelly and I that were talking about this, where I was surprised, given the fact that so many carriers are buying Shell and stuff anyway, that Ymir is still getting played where he is. Game number 1, Titans versus Valkyries with J-Mac and Trelly.
Thank you so much, Dave and Myth. This game has got quite a bit on the line for both of these teams, specifically for the Valhalla Valkyries trying to break themselves out of the bottom 2. Finding a win up against the Titans will put them that much closer, put them 1 set win behind the Olympus Bolts. And if I remember correctly, the Valkyries are actually playing the Bolts for their final set for both of those teams at the very end of the phase. So could be a very interesting matchup once it comes down to there. But the Valkyries got to get through the Titans in this matchup. And the AMC making it through, Charlie, is something that the Death brought up. And I think maybe we can kind of hit on that as well. Feels like with this meta, this AMC could possibly be struggling up against what Paul has picked here in mid.
Yeah, what Paul has picked, what Layers has picked, I think could be some trouble if you are trying to put some pressure over towards the mid lane just because of how easy it is to dive this AMC. But one thing AMC does, and always has done, is get a good amount of pressure. I mean, once you get access to level 2, you're essentially full clearing the wave. You can run to farm as quickly as possible, but I think Paul on the Vulcan should be able to match that pressure as well. I mean, the turret helps you clear the waves and your own buff camps so effectively. We'll have to see if Layers even tries to put some pressure towards this AMC. I mean, BennyQ's been staying pretty far back as is, but you got the blink to close that gap. So 1 beads, and that could open up some possibilities to get aggressive towards this AMC.
Early wave clear is going over towards Paul and Layers for now, but it's pretty even throughout that. Instead, it's some pressure, at least for Aurora and Stewart, to try and grab this scepter. They got to be a little quicker on it if they want to grab it. They do reset when the Shard's Vice comes through. Wow, he still has Ricochet. Not quite enough damage to take that one away, so the first scepter of the game goes over to the Tartarus Titans. And I'm surprised that we didn't see Layers or Kirmi kind of make that rotation over to duo. That seems to have been kind of the MO for junglers nowadays, has been rotate to duo, guarantee that first scepter for your team, and then jungler kind of pick up that scepter and roam around with it. So maybe a little surprising to see the jungler still stick around mid.
Yeah, I think of it as a support buff anyways. I don't like that these junglers are coming over and trying to grab the Indra Scepter. Do you know how tanky Aurora is going to be with that Indra Scepter? You can just W key as much as you want. I mean, no one should be killing this Atlas with that pick. And of course, I guess the same mindset would go for a jungler, but looks like BennyQ already going to have to lose those beats, and the pin was saved.
Honey, not enough to help him because Pin was there. Tartarus Titans get first blood, but maybe the Titans can respond back. Gamma falling a little low. Aurora doesn't seem to have his cooldowns up to continue that chase through, but BennyQ down without his beads now for 2.5 minutes and already down to death to the enemy jungler.
I mean, I'm just thinking about how out of position you have to be to beads before the pin from an Erlong Shen. I mean, just the slow alone and the damage from Paul must have been too much. And now, duo lane from the Valhalla Valkyries will be able to confirm their purple thanks to that hog. But the beads are down and BennyQ gets first blood. That just means the positioning is going to have to be even further back for this mid laner. Layers, I imagine, is waiting for that blink to come back up in 90 seconds and might try to do it again. Earthshaker and a 9 turns blessing seems like another kill if possible.
Especially with Layers at that level 5. Though he is a bit low in HP, he probably doesn't want to make that engagement just yet. He'll go back to base and pick up tier 2 of his mace. Gotta imagine maybe Crusher the call for him in that regard. Gives him a little bit of that extra attack speed. Doesn't feel like Jotuns would give him too much. Brawler's maybe not the best applicator in that regard. So we'll see if Layers does put his pressure back towards mid. Again, another 90 seconds until BennyQ has his beads back up. Would be a very easy target for him to gank.
Yeah, I imagine Benny's going to either stay back or try and use the honey to keep Layers in combat. But Layers isn't really looking at BennyQ, looking at the right side of the map. Currently, SOT has got the ult, and Aquarius doesn't have his.
Taunt goes through, a little bit more damage. Pin is good, one more auto. And Layers and SOT grab the second kill of the game for the Tartarus Titans. 2 kills now for Layers, and this is something that, you know, Mifflin was calling for the last time the Tartarus Titans played. He's kind of still calling for it on this one. Was Layers has kind of been vastly inactive. Maybe you should head over towards mid and help out Paul as Kirby full combos, not quite enough to take down Paul, who will live with just under 100 HP on the Vulcan. He'll be able to go back to base. But again, something that Mifflin was kind of calling for in the last couple of times we've seen the Titans has been for Layers to get a little bit more active in the game. Been playing very passively. I think back to the Guan Yu game, where he's sitting 28 minutes into the game with 5,000 or whatever it is player damage and barely the same regard in healing. So a step up for Layers here in this game is a good start for the Titans.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I think we've all known that Layers had the potential to get this active in the early and also just have these high kill games, but just, I guess, wasn't in the right headspace. Now, clearly coming out swinging on this Erlong Shun. A quick 2-0 start. One thing to note, though, I mean, we were talking about BennyQ's beads being down. They're already back up, but Paul going to be without beads for another 2 minutes or so. If BennyQ could have helped out Kirmi, a little bit of extra damage there, Paul definitely going down. So for the next 2 minutes, now Paul could be a good target as Aurora tries to steal away with the Gamma Ray Burst. Not going to be able to, but does some good damage to the duo lane of the Valks.
It's just funny watching an Atlas try and steal a buff, because we all know Atlas doesn't do a ton of damage early on. Can if you get a nice little full combo, but not able to steal the purple buff away. Instead, Aurora will just...
He's got the scepter, man. He can do whatever he wants.
He can essentially do no wrong at this point. Suns from Wowie. Gonna jump away. He'll just use the Suns to clear out the wave. So Stuart and Aurora will clear those ones out as well. And now I'm kind of wondering where Layers goes to. As you mentioned, AMC, or BennyQ I should say on the AMC, has his beads back up. So won't be able to get the free 9 turns blessing. Still could maybe use Pen to try and bait that one out, but kind of losing out on some of his targets to maybe go for. Aquarius, so long as his ult is down, could maybe still be an option as well.
Yeah, certainly could. Kirmi has that wraparound, but Paul, nowhere to be seen. Paul was on Oracle, so there was no wraparound to be had. Just really maximizing the amount of farm, though, that you can get on this Vulcan. You saw Layers went for the Greater Scorpion. The turret was already placed there right when the Greater Scorpion went down. Paul said, okay, I'm putting it over on Oracles now. We're going to make sure to grab that. Just farming the whole map so well. Already about like a 1.3k gold lead in favor of the Tartarus Titans, and you have to imagine they're trying to keep that going. Jumps up to 2,000. They're farming the map so well. Every single map, every single lane is being pushed in, especially, and we've seen what Aurora's doing over in duo, right? Stuart's able to just free farm, grab his own purple buff, take his time getting the lane. And you look at like, wait, where's Aurora? Oh yeah, he's just running it purple buff, throwing down ults, forcing out Wowie to drop the Suns just for wave clear. And that's what this Interceptor and a Sovereignty can do for an Atlas.
Man, a composition made for Paul to fight against. One of the few players in the league who, even before, all these double Hunter and these 4 Fizz comps are coming through, he was already a player to run the Mantle of Discords, the Breastplate of Valors, and here it is, second item. Go ahead and skip your stacking in this case for Paul. He went Divine Ruin immediately into some defense against the Valkyries.
Yeah, at least this time, Kirmi almost 100-0'd him, and he's like, okay, well, that was a lot of damage. Maybe I should grab a Breastplate, but usually it's just, Paul loves getting a defense item. He loves living through these fights. Oh, yeah. More so than anyone else in the league. Paul knows I'm worth more alive than I am dead, even if I'm doing a little bit less damage. Or once again, dropping that Gamma Ray Burst, but this time Kirby's close by.
That wall lasted a long time from Gamma, but
good old
Sun Swords from Stuart. Gonna make sure to keep 3 locked down. The support for the Tartarus Titans will be able to go back. Purple buff has been ignored for a moment. It'll go back and be dropped by the Valkyries momentarily, I imagine. Once this goes through, Gamma does manage to steal an offering on the enemy side of the jungle. Gotta imagine that Gamma is maxing up that wall. I mean, you look at the opposite side, and not a single person can get past that wall. You see 4 points. That's a 5-second wall that Gamma's going to be able to throw down and just leave. And that 5 seconds early on, maybe enough to kill, but late game, for sure, if a carry gets left back there, will be a nice and easy. Aurora is really just being annoying.
he's annoying me, and I don't have to play against it. Like, you could just step up. I mean, he's got Sov. Who's killing Aurora right now? We saw Kirmi showed up and said, oh, you walled off this Atlas? Yeah, I'll use my full kit. Oh, he's fine? Okay, I'm not coming near duo anytime soon. Like that's pretty much it. Now Aurora's going to be able to just W key at the rest of the team, rotating out a duo. It looks like Layers is here more so for the Oracles. I was wondering, because there's one blessing away from grabbing this Trebuchet. Both teams would love to grab it, but none are available, so Aurora's going to try to steal some away.
Aurora gets the pickup onto Kirmi, throws it to Layers, but a good wall by Gamma.
Beautiful wall.
Will stop the throw from going through. Aurora will just stand in place, sacrifice a little bit of his HP, and secure a Trebuchet for the Tartarus Titans. Now back over to the Oracles, which is where the initial fight was going to be had. But for the Tartarus Titans, a very strong early lead. Looking up at the gold, it's already a 3,000 difference. 2 kills and not much fighting else beyond there. Tartarus Titans are just controlling the map.
I mean, there's no objectives yet, no towers, just good farm throughout and 2 solid ganks from Layers. That's all this game has been thus far. Looks like Pyromancer spawns back in 20 seconds, or spawns in for the first time, not back in. This is the first time Pyromancer touches down. You have to imagine, Vulcan turret, good burst, Layers rotates over. You don't even need SOT. That Pyromancer could be as good as gone, especially if the Titans rotate over. Lots of pings on that side of the map, so you can tell the Titans are going for a play, and more specifically the Valks know it's coming. Can they stop it, though? That's the question. They sent out the Trebuchet. You'd think the grouping starts, and Aurora's already made the pull.
Doug, can we get a look at the net worth once this Pyromancer goes down, just to kind of see where this farm has been allocated to, or where this
Just
lead
everyone.
is up there? Is it an even spread of like 500 or so to every single player? Is it one player is 1,000 to 1,500 up? Pyromancer to the Titans, Gold Fury maybe to the Valkyries. That 6-second wall, the Sun Sword's not enough from Stewart to steal it away, but maybe a pick on towards Wowie. Layers goes in with the Mink form, finds the hit, but a big freeze by Gamma will slow things down. Not enough though, because the pin does find Wowie maybe a little bit further in, but Gamma and Kirmi will be fine. That's a Pyro for gold, but 1 extra kill for the Titans.
Yeah, another kill over to Layers. 3-0 on this Erlong Shen. Plenty of attacks through that Toxic Blade Crusher build, and it doesn't look like he's trying to stop anytime soon. Good play though by the Valks. Recognized, I mean, you saw the pings. They were like, hey, they're probably going to go like from here, you know. We should just burn through this Fire Giant. Sure, we're 50-50 against Stewart, but Gamma's wall lasts for 5 seconds. We can wall him off. You won't even be able to see how low the Cold Fury really is. And they were fine to take that trade. Unfortunately, losing Wowie in the process, but just looking for any answer back. Probably smart just to trade Gold Fury for that Pyro and death. I mean, the Valks needed something. But now because both objectives are off the map, Tartarus Titans are just back to farming better. I mean, that's what they've been doing so far, and it's been working out for them. I think Aquarius was a decent target early on, but has since become pretty tanky, especially since Sot can't really force any poke. I mean, it's not a great matchup. Your Tyloo with Solid is getting consistently silenced out, so it's not like Aqua's going to be sitting half health in lane anytime soon. So probably smart that Layers has been spending the majority of his time in mid with Paul, and if not, just stealing away buff camps.
So far, all 3 kills for the Titans have landed towards Layers. And even looking at that net worth, you can see it's about 300 to 700 between every single player on the team. So it isn't even spread of gold. It's not one player massively ahead of anybody else. So probably the largest lead being Paul in the mid, about 700 up over Benny Q. But at least for Paul, now having that breastplate online, a lot of cooldown available to this Vulcan. A lot of defense available as well, just because Kirmi, we saw what he was able to do against Paul without defense. Now it's going to take Kirmi a little bit of extra effort, maybe some help from a Stinger. Wowie, perfect timing on the ricochet, finds Stewart, swords go out. Stewart's not able to get anything there. Pin gets beads away immediately. Layers finds the taunt right after the beads wear out. And Wowie is as good as gone. Gamma Ray burst from Aurora. Throws it just in case he happened to run away. Instead, all he does is tag Gamma with it.
Hey, that could have been a massive either a kill secure or if Layers needed the prod trip. Here comes Kirmi on the rotation over, trying to save Wowie's purple buff. Too little, too late, but what else are you going to look for? Nothing. Aurora cancels that kinetic charge, doesn't want to go in any further, and it's just going to just respect that they got the purple buff steal. That's all they're after. You know, I said that because the objectives were down and there's not too much to fight over. You'd think Layers would dial it back a bit, but it just seems like there's no breaks. I mean, he is consistently just gas pedaling, trying to find as much pressure as possible. 4-0 now on this Erlong Shen. Wowie loses the beats and still falls down for the 2nd time this game. That's going to open up some pressure. If Stewart wants to look for some 1v1s, he's got a 2-level lead, both relics up, builds. looking very similar at the moment, but Stewart's pretty close to that kin size, so you got to imagine you're feeling pretty safe and comfortable in this lane, but Stewart actually is staying pretty far back.
What's the golden hand on Gamma right now? Because he's sitting only on a Mail of Renewal, fully upgraded Relic, compared to
wouldn't
Aurora,
imagine
who's
that
gone
much.
2.5 items. I mean, Gamma's got to be having a pretty large golden pocket if he's only sitting on a single item right now. Hasn't gone back to base in a while.
I bet you he's got 1,500 max.
Nah, no way Gamma's only sitting on 1,500 golden hand at this point. I mean, he's a full Witchblade and even a tier 2 helmet back behind Aurora comparatively.
Aurora hasn't spent any money on relics.
Okay, that's 800. That makes up the helmet.
Yeah, that's fair.
Wow. Okay, almost 2K.
Yeah, see, I was 400.
I thought he would have been sitting on more at that point. He's just not been getting that same degree of farm as Aurora has.
I mean, the whole map is just under-farmed at the moment. The Tartarus Titans, like I said, they're not letting anything happen. This purple buff doesn't belong to WoWie. The wards are down. They're stepping up to everything, but I don't imagine the Titans even look at Pyromancer anymore. This left side of the map, this Primal Fury, should be exactly what they're looking for. And I don't even think Layers is gonna leave. He's sitting at the Primal Fury just saying, when's it gonna spawn in? Like I'm gonna stay here until I can find it.
For now, WoWie 2 levels back behind Stewart right now. It's kind of level differences across the board. The only one where it remains parity is that solo lane. Aurora again.
You're not
between the
safe.
towers.
He's never safe.
You are not safe anywhere. The only place that WoWie is safe is in his fountain at this point because Aurora, and I'm not even sure I'd say there, Aurora might be willing to dive all the way back there just to continue bullying the Hunter.
If he's got the Indra-Scepter, I wouldn't doubt that Aurora sends an ult towards Fountain just because, but you know, feeling confident as the Pyromancer and the Primal Fury up. I'm looking at where the posturing is. SOT goes back to base. Does he upgrade the teleport and join a Primal Fury? It looks like he's preferring the CAD shield as of now, but does teleport to mid. Probably he's going to defend the Pyro, and then the rest of the team going to the Primal Fury. I like this call. I think Gamma was going for fire, though. It looked like the Valks for a second we're going to see, and they decided to go for the Pyro instead.
Pyro does go to the Valks. Fury goes to the Titans, and maybe the fight for the Valkyries, but SOT's up on the Cavalry. Hits a few, but gets hit by the Typhoon along with a roar. SOT is low, but the Earthshaker from downtown slams through WoWie's health bar. Layers is in with a triple taunt. Aurora, the first casualty of the fight, but Benny Q goes down. Layers does manage to get the heal. He's still alive throughout all of this fight, and Stewart all the while batting away at the health bars. A double kill for the carry of the Titans. 4 for 2, and a Fury for a Pyromancer. The Tartarus Titans come up big.
And you're going to be happy with that one. At the very least, Aquarius does not die and is able to keep farming. I was thinking maybe a Fire Giant pull just because of the pressure, but Aquarius too tanky and too healthy to be able to go for something like that, but at least another tier 1 tower. And Stewart's going to group up with Paul and try and get this tier 2 as well. It's going to take a bit, but you don't really have any pressure. Kiermi's not back for 5 more seconds. Only Gamma has just spawned in, so that's going to be even more gold in the pockets of the Tartarus Titans. A solid 6 to 7K, and that Fire Giant has still not been looked at 17 minutes into this game. Like I said, I mean, off the back of Layers, like, don't get me wrong, the aggression all coming from the jungler, but every single lane so far ahead because of that aggression now.
In on the Aqua. Fine. Fairly tanky on this Ama. 3 items deep into the build. 2
No
of those
way.
being physical defense. The Valkyries pull fire. Risky.
Paul and Stewart
But
gone.
there's only 3 of the Titans nearby. Fire's going down. It's to the Valkyries. SOT, half HP, frozen and gone. The Valkyries make the risky play. They grab the fire. They take 1. But they got to be careful about Paul, who is sneaking around the backside. Stewart all the while farming to the left. Risky call by the Valkyries, but it comes up big. They get fire on all 5.
It seemed risky until you looked at the positioning. It was only the tanks, and Layers has no steal potential as an Erlong Shen. Great burn, but burst, not going to be the call. With the stinger from Benny Q, I mean, it was just a great call by the Val, because they realized, hey, SOT's tanky, with air quotes, but not when he's got a stinger, so they were able to just confirm that Fire Giant. A good wall from Gamma here. Might be enough to put Stewart out of position, but it looks like the rest of the Titans are coming through. Stewart is not trapped with you. You're trapped with him.
Swords go through. The Earthshaker from Paul. Plus the Magma Bomb and the Backfire combo. That is a guaranteed kill on the Gamma. So 1 Fire Giant removed from the Valhalla Valkyries. And now the Tartarus Titans can keep their push up with no Fury available to them. And not really willing to push up towards the left side. for the Valkyries, is there an opportunity for them to maybe try and make an offensive push, or is this just a we got fire, hold on for the next few minutes, and pray the Titans don't try and go for anything aggressive?
I mean, I see 2 carries at level 14. I don't imagine this is a Valkyries aggressive play anytime soon. The Tartarus Titans could essentially group up and push down left, could essentially group up and push down right. This was definitely a, hey, we got Fire Giant, that stalls out this game a bit. Let's hope that the Titans don't force a fight anytime soon, but we've seen how Aurora's been playing this game, and the rest of the Titans are following suit. This red buff could be a good ambush opportunity. Paul and Aurora sitting by, but so far it's just the Atlas getting aggressive.
Aurora alongside the wall, Stinger's there, Phantom Shell picked up, but it's not going to do too much. It's just too much damage coming from Benny Q and Wowie with their combination of the double hunter. That Stinger hit Aurora and might as well kiss his HP bar goodbye at that point. Valkyries get a pick. Support earlier on, but Fire Giant doesn't have much time left on it. And I don't think having Aurora down is going to be enough for the Valkyries to try and push up towards one of these towers, especially with Kirmi at level 15. Though for BennyQ at level 19, staying even with Paul, probably the biggest saving grace, and maybe Aquarius as well, being a level up over SOT despite everything that's been happening on that right side of the map. A couple of silver linings still here for the Valkyries, Trelly.
I would say so. I mean, it just seems like the Titans are playing like they have this massive lead, which they do. So they're putting themselves in unfavorable situations because they think they can. But with BennyQ around, they've got the proc shred. Like, Aurora's, even with Sovereignty, Witchblade, and Tier 2 helmet, he's tanky, but he's not surviving AMC Stinger tanky with Wowie, with a kin size and Executioner nearby as well. I mean, the Titans have to dial it back a bit. They lost Fire Giant because of poor positioning. They sent Paul and Stewart to the left side and the middle side of the map. They got to dial it back. They're ahead, but they're not able to just walk up W key into red buff at level 14, that sort of thing. Group up as a whole, their fight's fine. Fire Giant's still available, but looks like the Titans are trying to fight over this Oni Fury.
Yeah, Pin hit a couple there. But with the Oni Fury spawn back in, Titans don't want to spread their numbers too thin across the map. They'll regroup themselves around the Fury and start the pull on it. Wowie nowhere to be seen for this one. In fact, none of the Valkyries anywhere around this. Oni Fury just goes easily over to the Tartarus Titans. They'll pick that one up and now make the rotation right as Pyromancer has respawned on towards the map. Fire Giant will be about a minute later or less at this point. But it's the dual lane of the Valkyries on the left side. No one's going to be here for this Pyromancer. Tartarus Titans just took 2 objectives for free, Trelly.
I mean, this is, as long as the Titans are grouped up, this is the state of the game we're in. They should be walking up 2 objectives and the Valk should be going, okay, they're all here, let's leave. It was just that one Fire Giant where they didn't have their carries at all, and the Valks made a fantastic call and said, hey, Paul's not here, no burst, Stewart's not here, let's just go for it. So now, that Fire Giant will be spawning back in here shortly, about 40 seconds or so. The Titans should not be splitting up anymore. I don't want to see Stewart over in left lane by himself anymore. He's level 20, the rest of the team is here, they've got the burst, they've got all the pressure in the world. This is exactly what you'd expect from the Tartarus Titans after making a play like that. Still a couple carries that would love to hit level 20. You know, Layers, level 19, would love to get an upgraded starter item, even SOT. Could get a lot tankier with an upgrade to that starter item. But besides that, with the goldie the Titans have, you got to imagine a pull onto Fire Giant, not out of the realm of possibilities, as well as pretty solid burst confirm for the objective. I mean, Paul's Earthshaker into Meatball Backfire combo should be out confirming just about anything, assuming Kirmi doesn't have hit a massive ult and you know, knock him up before he can confirm that objective.
Typhoon could be a big saving grace for the Valkyries. The Suns from Wowie could also maybe cause a little bit of disruption amongst everything. For now, the Titans, while grouped up towards the right side, haven't really made an aggressive play towards the Fire Giant just yet. Trebuchet in the right lane, but not having been sent out just yet for the Tartarus Titans. Level 20's on a few key players, notably Paul, who's gone back and finished up his starter. Layers now has that Mannequin's Mace, so he's upgraded his starter. 5-0 for Layers, 2-0 for Paul. So the only ones who have gone, no, Stewart's also got Undying, 2-0 and 5 for himself as well. So the carries essentially untouched in so many of these fights and still living through. It's not a good look for the Valkyries. I mean, if you want to find these wins, you want to find these picks, it's got to start with the carries.
Yeah, certainly does, but I think the Valks isolating Aurora or isolating SOT with the Stinger was their saving grace to get back into this game. They could find their tank picks, and that's about it. But now, Aurora's able to get that Phantom Shell. That's going to help out a ton with the lockdown from Gamma. Finally, this Fire Giant started up a Gamma and Aquarius siege forward. They've got that Bracer to help them out, and that looks like a good wall.
Wall hits Aurora. A lot of damage thrown the tank's way. Shell goes through, and Aurora will dash on by. SOT stunned throughout, but Aurora's still low. Kirby to the back line. We've got to find one, but he loses out his life support for the jungler. Benny Q throws out the Stinger. SOT back to him. Benny Q finds Stewart with the beads and the bluestone proc after. It's now 2 for 1, and the Valkyries are the ones with the advantage around fire.
They definitely have the numbers advantage, but I don't think they're feeling too confident in going for the fight. They're going to stick around here, though, with Aquarius and double ADC. This Fire Giant will go down very quickly, so I like that both ADCs haven't backed yet. Aquarius is going to lead, but has the upgrade teleport. Like I said, that Bracer is still available. Looks like finally a pull from the Fire Giant, not from the Titans. This time the Valkyries going to take a crack at it, but 3 Titans are here, and Paul's ult's already back up.
Paul's got ult. Keep your eyes on this Vulcan. Will fired for the fight instead. Benny Q gone. Erased off the map. SOT, credit for the kill, but Paul with all the damage to set that one up. Gamma being zoned away by Layers. Pin is good onto the Ymir, but a wall to separate the team fight. Now 4 versus 3 for the Titans, as they've had their players respawn in. Aurora's made his way back into the fight, and Gamma will have to go back to base. Aquarius and Wowie back. The Suns are available. The Fire Giant low. Wowie yanked back in by Aurora, losing a lot of HP, but has to jump away. Fire Giant still being held onto as SOT walks back in the pit. Still holding the fire? Somebody's either got to take it or drop it. They wait for the ult to come back for Paul before they take that one down. Aurora now separated by a wall, but he's got the backup of the cavalry from SOT. Gamma stunned down, gets a nice little heal, but that heal is nowhere near enough. Aurora credit to the kill, but the Titans get FG on all 5.
I mean, that was just a smart play there by the Titans, waiting for Paul's ultimate. SOT didn't drop it for a second. Kirmi had the Typhoon, so just waiting and waiting for that to come through. You could tell, though, Aurora got walled off, and the Titans were like, oh no, Aurora's walled off, and then the Valkyries were like, yeah, we've done this before, we can kill. Guess what? Benny Q's not here. There's no Stinger. All those prots are actually real when that Stinger is not around, so Aurora lives way too long, and the Tartarus Titans able to confirm that kill on the Gamma, as well as grab the Fire Giant for themselves for the first time this game. Now they're able to group up and try and take down the last of these towers. That's only one left. The tier 2 and left is the last one for the Tartarus Titans to grab. Kirmi is going to delay and take a bit of the buffs in the meantime. Paul, with the build he's opted to go for with the breastplate, really would like a red buff to try and up his damage numbers a bit. So Kirmi, smart call, taking this away from the Tartarus Titans. Paul's going to be sad when he walks up, but it looks like probably recognized there was someone towards that side. Drop a turn and is just going to go back to base. Either way, the Titans finally in a position where they can look to break the base. They've had this lead for so long, but because of some mispositioning, because of some dropped objective play, they haven't been in the driver's seat, despite the fact that since minute 1, Layers has been popping off on this early. I mean, Layers has been controlling these fights. But underneath the Phoenix, this Vulcan ult gets a lot more dangerous. That Earthshaker can really split up a fight. So the Valhalla Valkyries are going to either A, have to put some pressure over to Paul, or B, hold up the wall and hope that your Phoenix stays alive.
Paul on this Vulcan, topping the damage charts by pretty nice little margin, 17k versus 13.8 being the next highest. That one's coming from Wowie. Those Suns have been able to get some good damage out there, some nice bounces off the walls that Gamma has been setting up for him. But Paul's sitting on full CDR at this point for the Vulcan. Quite a bit of power to his name, as he is sitting at 6th slot as well in the build with that Obsidian Shard now done. Tartarus Titans start pushing up towards the left Phoenix. Decent defense out of the Valkyries with this AMC to keep the minions out. And that wall by Gamma will be one of the ultimate stops that the Valkyries have to keep the Tartarus Titans out of the burn.
Yeah, it's been able to stall for so long, especially those auto attacks. But Layers is in the mid. Someone is going to have to defend. It looks like Aquarius is going to take that 1v1, while the rest of the Titans are going to slowly try and poke out this Phoenix. Aquarius isn't going to be able to win that 1v1, but clear the way if he can do, and that makes sure that Layers can't go in.
Aquarius used his ult, though, to try and push Layers away. That left Phoenix is falling low. Gamma, half HP. Meatball is good. Earthshaker is not. Kirby goes in, finds some decent damage, but takes a good bit of poke in his own right. SOT healing up the squad. Jumps in towards the Phoenix. The sun's rain down from WoW. He pinned in place by Layers. He's got a beads and turtle form out. Phoenix still stands. SOT to the backline. Stinger, though, has now hit the Guan Yu and the Typhoon as well. The solo laner is gone for the Tartarus Titans, but so is the left Phoenix. The Valkyries unable to defend their bird, but they at least hold the Titans back.
I don't hate that play from Sot, to be honest. I don't think that Phoenix goes down if he doesn't go in there. Would have made it out if Paul's shell was on time. Unfortunately, a little bit late, and maybe didn't expect that much damage to come through. But I got to give props to BennyQ. This Stinger has been consistently connecting on the key targets. It's never used on a carry. It's never used on someone who doesn't need the prod shred. It's been consistent with the tanks, SOT, and Aurora. They have been getting blown through because they just can't match that amount of shred. And that was the reason that SOT even dies there. Great ult combo from Kirmi and BennyQ, making sure that kill goes through. But the left side bird falls, and that's what the Titans were after, right? The Tartarus Titans, they've got teleport, they've got a bit of presence, they can go across the map very quickly. They wanted to make sure that someone had to be on the left side of the map on this EFG touchdown in a couple seconds. So that was the play. Open up the base, and then reset. So now Aquarius is going to have to clear that wave and then teleport in a little bit late, and the Tartarus Titans have superior map play towards this EFG.
11,000 plus gold for the Tartarus Titans up over the Valkyries. Where left side Phoenix gone means that one person from the Valk is going to have to defend that wave. They've got Aquarius over there for once this Fire Giant comes back. But Aquarius does have teleport, which means he can get to the fight as quickly as he needs to. He'll shove this wave up pretty far. But it's taking a while for the Titans to group back around.
Not again.
And now the Valkyries might be the ones to start the fire. Aquarius is teleported back over. All 5 of the Valks. Titans, Paul specifically a little far away. Fire Giant started up.
Good wall.
The Valkyries are fully committing to this one. The Suns are there. Aurora throws out the ultimate. The Valkyries get the Fire Giant. But can the Titans get a little bit more? Freeze hits Aurora. Gamma will likely be the sacrificial lamb for his squad. But once again, the Valkyries make a proactive play, taking the fire away from the Titans.
Yeah, they did do that, but they used a lot of ultimates to get it done. So the Titans, their play is clear. Someone's got to defend the left side fire minions. Gamma's dead. This should be a 5v3 in mid of the Trebuchet if the Titans play it safely, but you got to watch out for BennyQ. Someone has to tank up this Phoenix, whoever does. Getting the meat end of a Stinger, they could get shred through extremely fast. Just keep your eyes on the ultimates. All down except for Aqua's.
Aqua, when will he use his? If he uses his, Gamma gets beads away from Wowie. Wowie fighting against Layers, and that's a losing battle, at least for the time being. Now it's a Trebuchet for the Titans to push up to the Phoenix, and this is a slow and free poke that the Titans will get, not just on the enemy team, but on the Phoenix as well. Aquarius hit by the swords and dropped by the Cavalry, able to dash away. SOT low, has the healing, has the shell to stay alive. Middle bird erased off the map. And Layers at a sliver of HP, he'll be able to hobble away while the rest of the Tartarus Titans run back up the mid lane towards their side of the base.
And 2 Phoenixes down now, but that left side bird will spawn back in shortly. And now the Valhalla Valkyries, they have EFG. They've got some time to try and decide what they want to do with this buff. I imagine a whole lot of this. Clearing your own side camps, pushing out maybe if you see an opportunity, but looking at the relic situation for the Valks, I don't think a fight right now is what they're looking for. BennyQ out of shell and beads for the next 2 minutes or so. Kirmi doesn't have that blink to close gap, and it's pretty much just Gamma. He died at fire, he's got relics. If you didn't die at fire, you don't have your relics up. So even with EFG, the Valkyries can't really push up too far, you'd think. But Gamma's actually between towers at the moment, so it looks like he didn't get the memo, and he's okay with trying to fight out. Left side Phoenix, like I said, spawns in here shortly, just did. And now mid Phoenix is the only real wave of fire minions they're going to have to worry about for some time. The Valks, grouped up in the enemy jungle, they're trying to find a fight, but the Titans are just running for Wowie?
Wowie picked up, slam, and this is just the tanks dealing the damage right now. Wowie jumps out, massive Typhoon! That does come from Kirmi, and it makes it a 1-for-1, but BennyQ, the one who's been setting up so much for his team. Oh no, and Aquarius gets caught by the Sun Swords out of Stewart. And that makes that 1-for-1 now too. The Tartarus Titans though won't continue their push up left. Instead, they'll make a detour stop for the Primal Fury.
Okay, am I just seeing things, or
Yes.
Benny Q saw a roar, I thought, and then Wowie just walked up to them? Like, they must have, it must have been, you know, because we have the bird's eye view. It must have been, it was just out of range, so nobody saw the Titans there, and Wowie just walked into them and didn't realize. He still lived, so I guess it doesn't matter in that regard. Unfortunately, Penny Q and Aqua are the ones who fell for the trap, but I could have sworn the Valk saw that out, but it seemed like they just walked into it, and the Tartarus Titans are okay with taking that 1-for-2 trade.
Phoenix low.
Kiermy in the back.
The wall for Gamma to delay, but it's a weakened Phoenix. Stewart, with the help of minions, takes that one down very quickly. Kiermy, though, finds a double pull. Earthshaker finds nothing from Paul except a zone to keep Kiermy away, but he'll teleport to the back. Typhoon up, and some decent damage, but that defense from Paul, that sovereignty aura as well, making this Vulcan so tanky and so difficult for Kiermy to find that pick. The Titans will drop down the left side Phoenix, and they'll back away to the base one more time.
That breastplate definitely paying for Paul's life at this point. 3-0-8 has not fallen yet, but not for lack of trying. Topping of the damage charts as well for this Vulcan. But because the Valks have been consistently able to just burn through these objectives before the Tartarus Titans are there, I mean, you got to imagine that the Titans are going to be here when this EFG spawns in, already having vision down, with Paul close by in case the Valks are like hiding. Because it's happened one too many times. It's happened twice now. Like, you fall for it once, unfortunate, but the second time, that's where you're starting to get into throw territory. But the Tartarus Titans have that massive gold lead. They've got the map state. Only one more Phoenix to go, and already they are set up at the EFG. This is what I was expecting. Get your vision down early. Make sure you're set up for anything. Kiermy getting spot out.
No, that's not where you want to be. If you're a Valhalla Valkyrie at this point, you do not want to be staring down 5 Tartarus Titans at Fire Giant alone. Gamma had to sit back and watch as his jungler sits in the grayscale screen now for another 50 seconds. And that Fire Giant crashing down at any moment. This one should go to the Titans. And it's wild to say, Charlie, that this has been an even split of Fire Giants for these two teams. It's been 2 for the Valkyries and now 2 for the Titans. Unfortunately for the Valkyries in this case, this is an enhanced Fire Giant that's going over to the Tartarus Titans.
Yeah, the first time the Titans get their hands on EFG, and that's usually the death sentence, especially with a 2 Phoenix down situation, but their mid-bird did spawn in. And Benny Q's actually pushing over with Aqua for the time being, trying to push out these fire waves. It seems to be a wall from Gamma is going to be the call, but besides that, you can't mount a full defense here because both your carry and soul laner were so far away. So right bird's an afterthought. Left Phoenix fire waves are going to be gone for a bit. And that mid Phoenix is like 3 ADC autos away from going down. The Valks need to set up a defense, and they need to set it up away from their Titan.
Yeah, even keeping an eye on the player counts. I mean, Benny Q is communicating a mile a minute for his team. Gamma's a little bit quiet there as we start pushing up towards potentially the last Phoenix defense. But again, this is a weakened bird that the Valkyries are defending. But it might be the last 5v5 we get. Maybe later, because for now the Titans have not fully grouped up to push this one down. They have enhanced fire. They don't necessarily need the minion wave to push in, but maybe feeling a little bit more confident in order to wait for those minions to get through.
Yeah, I don't blame him for waiting this one out. I mean, Benny Q has been landing those stingers on Aurora and SOT. They think they're tanky for a second, and they just magically become not tanky, so probably wait. Kiermy!
Whoa! Kiermy gone. Earthshaker doesn't hit anything. That's big for the Valkyries to maybe try and get a fight, but not if Gamma goes down. It's a double kill for Stewart. Layers gets the heal from his ultimate. Aquarius is all by himself, and SOT will be the one to get the killing blow. Wowie jumps away, but how far is that jump gonna take you? Not too far when Paul and the rest of the Titans are able to rally in. It's only Benny Q left, and what can one lone B do to the might of the Tartarus Titans? Not a whole lot in this case. In fact, he might not even get to live through this one. Backfire will do the deed. Paul gets the double kill. Titans get game 1.
5-0-10 for the Vulcan. Top of the damage charts. That's a typical day on the battleground there for Paul. Great play, though, from the Valks. Honestly, that game, in theory, it's like a 25-minute Titans wrap this up. If not for really solid Fire Giant pulls just recognizing that the Titans were not set up. And also the Titans, you got to get your ward game up, man. That's 2 Fire Giants,
right?
1 EFG that just slipped underneath your nose. And it could have been, I mean, it wasn't like the Valks were ever in that driver's seat, right? They weren't breaking the base. They weren't knocking on the door of these Phoenixes, but they were stalling out as much as possible to try to put themselves in that winning position. But it was just so difficult to kill Paul. I mean, you saw Kirmi try many times.
Yeah, I mean, Kirmi goes in and drops a near full combo on Paul, and Paul walks away with like 40% HP through there. Tartarus Titans able to grab game number 1. Can they keep up that momentum for game 2? We'll find out right after this break.
So, Kirmi, the Valkyries are in an interesting position right now in that you are one of the most interesting teams in the league. But that is not where the intrigue ends. I've been told by your squad that the lore behind Richard Lee, that's Kirmi for the fans at home, is that you are not just one man, but a man and two wolves fighting in your soul at all times. Can you talk me through that a little bit?
No, I can't. I'm really sorry.
Some things are inexplicable, even by those who have them themselves. A spiritual nature to those wolves, to be sure. Paul, have you heard of the wolves?
The wolves?
The wolves?
It's an animal.
That's right, but the two of them that fight within Kirmi's heart.
Nope.
One's named Richard, the other named Lee. They're named after their master, and they both fight at all times for morality and spirituality.
Oh, nice.
Slaney,
Hello.
you're a Titan now,
Yeah, that's me.
and you used to be a Scarab.
Yeah, that was me.
Awesome. So SOT, you're a Titan now.
Yep, I've been a Titan for a while.
Yeah. Used to be a Scarab though.
I used to be a Scarab, yeah. I used to be bugging up, bugging out.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I wanted to keep that bit rolling, but your team's running away. Hey, Stu! Stu! He's not coming back. That's
He always flakes, man. He's something's changed. I don't know. Something's up. I mean, he's different. He's acting different.
What's different about it? You think maybe he's a Titan now?
Maybe he's just been flaking. I don't know. He's just been he's been acting different. I don't know. I mean, it's inexplainable. I mean, he's so mean.
He's mean.
He yells at me. He doesn't come to dinner sometimes. You know, he used to call me beautiful all the time, but I haven't heard it in a while. And honestly, it's really, I don't know. It's really heartbreaking. I don't know what's going on.
He used to be a Scarab though. This has been Talking to the Mic with Mifflin.
Valks the sixth.
And Valks the Sixth.
Some quick shot calling from the Valhalla Valkyries makes game one a bit more interesting than the Titans would have hoped for, but it's still the Titans at the end of the day that build up a massive gold lead and too consistent in their team fighting and their objectives secure. And the Titans will take game number one, which moves them a bit closer to securing their spot in the Phase 3 playoffs and maybe over at Worlds, which means you'll likely be needing your Titans jersey at Worlds. And if you're a Titans fan and you haven't gotten your hands on a Titans jersey yet, you need to make sure to go ahead and grab one because the new look at these jerseys is awesome. The Titans looking scarier on the battlefield and looking cooler in their player booth. And you can as well if you head on over to shop.hi-rezstudios.com/SPL. And, of course, all of our jerseys furnished by our friends over at Skull. So thanks to them for supplying our jerseys here in Phase 3 and for the rest of the year. And my goodness, these look great. They'll look great on the world stage, and they'll look great on you. Guaranteed. Or Mifflin will give you your money back. Thanks again to Skulls for powering our jerseys. I keep gambling with Miff's money. It's not my place to do so. No money back, according to Mifflin. Miff, game number one, though. Let's break this one down. We actually got through one whole death segment with no shenanigans. I didn't give us props for that. Remember, I said we're straight and narrow.
I would argue what you're doing just now,
No,
that is shenanigans.
I know it totally is. I'm saying death segment number one, though, was totally clean.
But when you were playing the theoretical straight man to my theoretical, get goofy guy, you can't be doing that because that in of itself is derailing the segment.
Yeah, my fault. Okay, let's talk about game number one, though, Miff, because it is the Titans who look a bit more clean, a bit more consistent, but it's the Valkyries with some quick shot calling, pull a sneaky FG or two, extend out this game. I'm not sure the Titans ever really doubted the outcome, though, in this game, more just delayed.
Yeah, I think the Titans, there was a key moment, I believe it was 18 minutes in, where SOT instant stunned Benny, and then Paul dropped an Earthshaker on his dome piece, and they said, oh, we could just keep doing that.
Yeah.
That's something that's not going to stop. This doesn't fall off ever. And the Tartarus Titans did figure out that combo, but regardless, the Valhalla Valkyries, through really good positioning and just ingenuity, were able to get themselves a couple of fire giants that extend this game drastically. Maybe about a 3-minute period where supports took turns just, walking up and dying on their own also extends this game ever so slightly. But as far as actual win condition and actual positioning on map, I don't think the Tartarus Titans were too concerned.
No. Honestly, and I think we talked about layers a lot and needing to set the pace. I think this was a layers pace-setting type of game. Goes 6-1-12 on the Erlang Shen. Needed, I think, for layers, needed for the Titans, and really when you play the Erlang Shen and we write up how we figure the early game should go, this is a lot of what we talk about. Stuart and Paul combine for 12, 1, and 21 combined on the two carries of the Tartarus Titans. So it felt pretty simple, 34,000 damage apiece, though Benny Q with 36K definitely climbed up the charts there. Was interesting drafting, though, Miff. I mean, we talk about AMC and the value that's there. We also both raised some eyebrows at the comp that they're picking AMC into, and that's ultimately what won the day, is the Titans draft just locking down this AMC so effectively. And so, I don't know if you're full-on draft diff after a game like this. You're still seeing some sparks from the Valhalla Valkyries. I think could still be a set at hand here in game two.
I think so. Maybe a couple of adaptations that I'd like to see should occur in P's and B's. It felt like the Valkyries were a bit split in decision-making, especially in that second phase of bans, dedicating one to the Thor. If you're going to go ahead and target layers, target them. Why toss another ban towards a Soul Lane? Because, oh no, layers had to fall down to his Erlang Shen, one of his favorite comfort picks since he first jumped into the SPL. So it feels like the Valkyries might be able to consolidate that a little bit, as well as maybe just clean up some of that mid-game. Make sure that you aren't falling so far behind to those picks. Probably a byproduct of playing AMC in a no beads plus Aegis meta. You're just going to get picked out by an Erlang Shen, but you don't have to.
I mean, if you're in a better spot in that game, a Fire Giant sneak for the Valkyries results in a bit more than slowing down the game. It can potentially knock open the pace of the Titans. Ymir, there's an adaptation. The Valhalla Valkyries do not want to give that over to Aurora alongside the Emoja, or Hades and Daji continue to get banned out. So we're going to flip pick spots here. Remember, it was early carry priority. Why not when the Vulcans left open? I wonder if that's something the Valkyries feeling like they can sneak away maybe with picks 2 and 3 here in this draft, or are the Titans going to be leaning into that one? Still so much value open. Interesting we're leaving this final ban for a little bit of time here. And all that thinking to land on Susanoo.
So now the Valkyries get to make a decision of whether or not they want to ban one of the priority hunters. If they do, the Titans will very clearly take whatever's left available. And then the Valkyries get priority on soul lane selection. I don't think we'll see the Valkyries ban out a hunter here. So it is likely that the Titans take either the Ishtar or the CERN for themselves. Leaves up the Valkyries in a position where they can like lock in a pretty strong jungler if they so choose. Could take away one from layers. If you're worried about the Erlong Shen again, could grab it for yourself. Worth noting that Kirmi was also one of the very, very first people to be playing Erlong Shen, or early on in the phase at least. So certainly a pick that he's got some comfort on. Set band away. Take a shot towards the Titans mid laner. All right, let's see. I'll keep rolling with it. CERN locked in. And they're going to snap lock it now.
I was going to let you keep going with us. But
Whoa.
unlucky. Unlucky for Myth. So not only CERN, not right when he pointed his finger at the screen, but also an Atlas. So is that disappointing in your mind, Myth? Not only because you got it wrong, but
It is only because I got it wrong. Atlas is good.
Atlas is good. So
Yeah.
we're on board with the first pick.
Yeah, I think it's fine. You're not revealing too much in your draft. You're taking one away from Gamma. It's going to be phenomenal defense shred regardless. You've got great initiation from Atlas. Not many matchups that are too poor for him either. But you know, I thought it could have been certain.
How do you balance not revealing too much of your draft, but also getting the priority picks? You know what I mean? Like,
It's just a pick that, you know, doesn't really dictate. It's a plug and play
no,
style,
I'm saying
right?
how, as a team, that's got to be a hard balancing point where you're like, all right, there's a lot of really good picks open. We don't want the other team to get it, but we also have a game plan that we don't want to reveal. So we're going to get a pick that's maybe not as high priority, but you're risking giving it over to the other team. Maybe
Yeah.
drafting is harder than it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult. I mean, there are picks that just clearly identify what your composition is
Right.
going to be, right? You lock in, like, a Morrigan, it's a Morrigan draft. You lock in maybe a Vulcan, it's, hey, I need some setup or some front line,
Right.
something like that, right? You lock in an Atlas, you're like, oh, that's a support.
Could be solo.
Could be mid.
Wait, it could be
Shouldn't be.
mid.
Shouldn't be. That's a support.
Yeah, it is a support. Tara, I was going to say a support, but has been mid for Benny Q in the past. I think we would like to see it for Gamma. A Tara Ishtar lane seems all right to me, provide some sustain to your comp, but I'll leave the door cracked ever so slightly open to a Benny Q mid pick because we saw it earlier on here in Season 9. Ishtar continues to skyrocket up the play charts, and not much ban presence. Yeah, hedge towards the carries, so I think the Titans and Stu specifically can just get the next best up, which is Cupid, and still potentially a Vulcan pick. Could be a fantastic start here for the Titans.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue against any of the top three on the Titans. Cupid has been a mainstay in the meta as of Season 9. Great sustain in some of these late-game team fights. Pretty decent lane bully as well. Space control of Fields of Love. And when you're controlling space, it means that Earthshaker's a little bit easier to find. Does leave the tier available. Don't get to the second phase of bans this time. So the Valks will get Aqua on one of his new shining stars.
No matter who you are.
I mean, like, I don't know, man. Just feels like the Titans have got a much more standard composition with, like, higher priority picks and a draft that works well together. And that's not to say that the Valks draft can't be tied together well
No.
as it rounds out. But if we're just, like, talking about what everybody else is doing in the league, they're doing what the Titans are doing and not what the Valks are.
Stu's been playing a lot of Ishtar, 4 in a row. 3 of those 4 were wins, but going to have to go to the Cupid for the first time in at least 6, maybe a little bit longer, was Charybdis a couple games before that. But I put my faith in the stupid every day of the week.
Uh-huh.
Really, that one got you to cringe a little bit?
I didn't cringe.
You winced. That's the word I'm looking for.
I smiled, and if my smile's that ugly,
Oh my God.
that's
That's
tough,
not what I'm
dude.
saying
Well,
at
it
all.
is quite literally what you said.
Miff, your smile is my favorite thing about you.
That's not good. Not from what I've heard so far.
Oh no. Oh man. All right, I'm gonna move on before I dig myself further into this hole. Pele. That's for the Valkyries and Kirmi specifically. So he's gotten Susanoo in a couple of games, 3 of the last 6. But Kirmi not going to get to Susanoo this game, banned out in the first 3. That leaves open the Pele. How many parallels can you really draw between Pele and Susanoo as far as play style, backline deletion, things like that?
Both backline divers, both have a knockup. Both have really high DPS. Both likely build Jotuns
I haven't been
and
counting 'em,
brawlers, the maces. The parallels kind of live and die on they both are just going to go for like the one-for-one trade for the most part.
Yeah.
Susano's a lot more mobile though. Way easier for him to close gap, whereas Pele, it really does come down to that ultimate. But why are we talking about that?
Because I tricked you into
Tsukiyomi.
analyzing.
Yeah, Tsukiyomi got locked in though. Ask me about that one.
Yeah, but we were already talking about Pele versus Susano by the time
Crazy you
Tsukiyomi got
still
knocked
haven't
in.
asked me.
Because I'm defending myself.
And it still hasn't
Miff, your
happened.
wit is my favorite thing about you. I lied.
Thanks.
Tsukiyomi, the final pick for the Valhalla Valkyries. That likely goes to Benny Q, which of course then 100% confirms Terra for Gamma. Tsukiyomi has been very hard to deal with out of the mid lane in the couple of games that we've seen it. Surprised we haven't seen it more, and do you like it here for the Valks?
I like it because so much of the Titans draft is contingent on Vulcan. He's the bulk of your kill secure, he's your objective secure, he's a lot of your DPS on objectives as well. So getting a god like Tsukiyomi who can close gaps so easily on Vulcan, I think is going to have a lot of value. And it's gaming the system a little bit. It's gaming the fact that we've had to make a competitive ruling on Bede's Aegis.
Yeah.
But if Aegis isn't available, I could see like, and this is wild, it probably won't happen, but it could, like Bracer of Radiance plus like Frenzy on Tsukiyomi in a Piercing Moonlight and just remove a dude from the game. Like the barrier of execution for that play is to close gap for Piercing Moonlight. If you're in range,
Yeah.
I trust Benny to hit every shot. I haven't done the numbers myself. I don't know if it's actually going to 100 to 0 somebody.
Okay, close.
But a Vulcan, it'd be pretty close.
Yeah, but we're talking about a Vulcan who has 100 to 0, 2 carries late game with an Earthshaker. You know, we got to level the playing field maybe a little bit here. This is the Valhalla Valkyries that we hadn't seen much of in recent weeks, where you're getting a bit more creative with your picks, where Benny Q's playing something a bit more wild. I realize you kind of have to settle down when you get to the SPL. You've got to give yourself every advantage. These are the types of comps, though, that made the Valkyries who they were at the beginning of the year, and now maybe bringing a bit of it back out. So you look towards the mid lane matchup, maybe, Miff. Tsukiyomi up against Vulcan. Is that now gank priority for either of these two junglers?
If I'm Fenrir, I'm loving going towards Tsukiyomi,
Yeah.
right? He has to get in melee range of wave, doesn't have any traditional mobility, so very easy for you to lock him down. But the Tsukiyomi versus Vulcan direct matchup,
Yep.
I kind of want to see some Tsukiyomi action, you know?
Yeah, can the Tartarus Titans, though, Miff, can they knock the Valhalla Valkyries chase for 6 down one more peg? We'll go to J-Mac and Trelly to find out.
It's going to be a contentious game, too, between these two squads. Benny Q kind of going back to the old Benny Q days, as mentioned there by Dave. We haven't seen kind of the wilder picks out of Benny Q and the Valhalla Valkyries in some time. It's J-Mac, Trelly, and Doug for game number 2. And I like seeing Benny back on this. I mean, this is a comp, and for Benny, you know, a pick and a play style that really made a name for them back when they were still the winter dogs in the SCC, then even jumping into the SPL during the qualifiers. We're still seeing some of those more eclectic, kind of a wild and out there drafts by the Valkyries. So it's good to see Benny maybe returning to form in game number 2. But do you think that this is enough to try and fight back to the Titans with Benny Q back on a pick like this?
No, I like the Tsukiyomi. I'm not even calling it that eclectic at this point. I want to see the Benny Q Terra, you know.
No, I don't.
That's when I'm like, oh, okay.
If I'm hoping for a win on the other team, maybe. but if I'm a fan of the Valkyries, I'm probably not looking too forward to that.
Yeah, I think that the Tsukiyomi is just a smart call here. And if Paul was really worried, I mean, he could just grab Aegis, right? Like, there is a fair bit of things you'd love to beads, but, you know, Aegis Shell would deal with a good amount of the 100 to 0 potential from the Tsukiyomi and also from the Pele. So I think Paul clearly saying, hey, I'm going to position myself just fine. We've got shells. If you can stack your shells and you're not popping them at the same time, wasting them, you're also going to be just fine trying to survive through that. And as long as Layers is here, I think that, you know, Benny Q's going to have to watch his positioning. Has the blink. Both junglers do, actually. So, could always have a decent kill opportunity for Layers onto Kirimi and vice versa. But you're going to have to forfeit some of the early pressure. You're not going to be able to match the wave clear of the Pele and the Tsukiyomi. So probably smart here for the Titans to back up a bit and let the Valhalla Valkyries get a little bit of pressure.
Roar picks up WoW in. I'm actually a little shocked that WoW is willing to use his beads there. Paul in danger. But a brutalized from Layers to reposition himself. Should get him out of danger from the double assassins. Even the Soul Lane, some action going through now. You know, SOT has that immunity with Tallow Assault to not really need to deal with the Fearless. Still, some of that initial Fearless damage could be dangerous. Well, picked up by Aurora. Aurora's just fine, though. Has the Scepter, so he's getting a decent bit of sustain and poke back through. But, man, in this mid lane, it is a rough early for Paul and Layers.
Yeah, certainly seems to be. They're losing the clear battle, as you would expect. And that means they're also losing the poke battle, just by nature of how Tsukuyomi and Pele tend to work. But because of that pressure, you can see Kirmi's heading to the right side of the map. We see a bit of a fight over on the left, but Kirmi invades Layers. One more. He didn't have the jump.
Oh, no.
Did you see Kirmi's breath? He went, oh, he thought he was about to jump over the wall. I saw the deepest inhale there. He was so hyped that he got that kill before he jumped over. And that should lead to a possible blue buff invade here. Sot isn't even going to make it over to his blue buff in time. He can try. But Kirmi is going to give this one up, actually.
Very grateful Benny Q, or Kirmi, and maybe Benny Q as well, now that some pressure has been alleviated from him towards this mid lane with Layers taken out of the picture. But Kirmi getting first blood for the Valkyries, a great start for this team. A great start for the double assassin mid, but Layers right back and ready to go again. Level 3 on the Fenrir. Didn't lose out on too much farm, lost a little bit inside the jungle off that rotation in, but still has the majority of his back heartbeat camp available to him. But great start for Kirmi, great start for the Valkyries. It's something that they need to try and fight up into this Tartarus Titans comp.
Yeah, certainly do. I want to see what Kirmi does with the lead, though. You got first blood. You're going to be hitting level 5 here shortly, maybe after your speed buff and one more camp. Where are you going to take that lead, though? Are you going to go over to dual lane? I feel like the Valks have been pushing in the Titans a bit over on the left side of the map. Aurora has been trying to be as aggressive as he was last game, has been getting punished a bit for it, even with that Interceptor. Hasn't been able to, you know, just be in the face of the Valks too much ever since getting Wowie's beads. I feel like I've been losing that poke trade kind of like this.
Double root from Gamma, but not the follow-up. Not quite level 5 yet. SOT pushed in the tower. And Aquarius may be wishing he was level 5 for some extra damage from Lawbringer, but now it ticks over to it. SOT just a little too far away. Teleport up for the Guan Yu. So SOT likely clear out these minions, make his way back to base, and come right back in ready to go. But getting dangerous. I mean, I talked with SOT, asked him what it was like to go against Aquarius. Thinks it's just kind of a farm game over here, but it feels like when Aquarius gets this tier pick, it goes much more beyond farm, Charlie.
Yeah, definitely. Looks for the kills, looks for the poke whenever possible. SOT, I can tell he wants either full breastplate, which he's not close enough to, or like tier 2 breastplate and a chalice, and he just like, I need a little bit more gold, man. Just let me stick around for a bit longer, and it looks like he will be able to survive for the full breastplate. He's got 1,700 now, and that's what he was waiting for. He's like, I am not teleporting back in here without some more CDR. I can't survive in this lane without it. So smart call, and because Aquarius doesn't have teleport, doesn't have blink, can't really close gap. Opted for the beads, probably fearing, you know, the ganks from Layers, that Ragnarok into the cavalry charge, all sorts of CC chain potential there for the Tartarus Titan. So I think a smart call for Aquarius to play a bit safe in that lane. But because the Titans aren't an assassin-based comp, right? They're not the Pele and the Tsukuyomi. They don't have to get active early. They can sit by and let the Valks get a little bit of a lead going for themselves because their objective play, as well as their objective burn, is just a lot stronger. You know, with Paul on this Vulcan, he just needs to stay safe, probably go Divine into Breastplate just like last game, and then he'll be just fine, stacking up to Benny Q and Kirmi respectively.
Yeah, it was Layers who did go down for first blood earlier on, and that's pretty much where you see the lead for the Valkyries as far as the gold is concerned, but hasn't really broken anywhere as far as experience goes. And SOT just ticks over to level 7 right before Aquarius. Aquarius should probably hit it at the same time on this wave, so going even with each other in that regard. Mid, Benny Q has a very slight lead over Paul, but in the jungle where that first blood happened, Kirmi hasn't quite gotten out to the explosive start that you would have maybe hoped for this Pele. It's been very quiet since that first blood, Charlie. We haven't really seen Kirmi or Layers try and get active on this map at all since then.
Yeah, I think the Titans are respectively staying back just off of that pressure, but Gamma, using both dashes, could be in a bit of trouble. You can see Benny Q's on the way, but actually getting the beads down, that should be the call to retreat here.
Should be so. Paul is here. Earthshaker available. Hits only Benny Q. Jump away from Kirmi, but Piercing Moonlight should be enough to take down Layers. A second death onto the jungler of the Tartarus Titans, and Gamma all the while, who was the main target of this fight to begin with, He'll walk away still quarter HP at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, getting the beads there, that was the win. I can see wanting to chase that one down, but you didn't have eyes on BennyQ. That Piercing Moonlight's a guaranteed kill on a Fenrir, even if only one of those ticks landed. I think just overstayed their welcome a little bit, but at the very least they got the beats down. So now that could open up an opportunity to try and pick Gam again, but he's going to be tanky. This Terra does not die from the damage of a roar and layers. That is not going to be enough to 100-0 a Gauntlet of Thieves Terra, even without it being stacked up. And that also gives a kill over to BennyQ. So good XP differential, one up in the jungle, one up in mid lane. The Valhalla Valkyries are playing their lead about as well as you can so far. They've only been able to find 2 kills, but there hasn't been any objective spawning in yet. They don't have any opportunity to actually go for a Fury, so I like this call.
SOT out of mana, pushed against the wall by Aquarius and being bullied out. Just gets enough for the cavalry charge. Gamma's there, but he just misses out on being able to get the dash, and now with no beads, he gets yanked under the tower, but still very tanky on this Terra. The last tower shot will do the deed. Layers takes 1, but loses his own life right after. A second kill for Kirmi, 3 for the Valkyries, but at least 1 now for the Titans on the board.
Yeah, it's nice to get on the board, but being 0-3, I guess 1-3 in this case for Layers, certainly not a good time, and giving that kill over to Kirmi also does not feel good. I was sort of joking, saying that getting the beads down, but Paul getting dove here by BennyQ.
Throws out the Earthshaker, and Kirmi with the fireball right afterwards. To find a 4th pick now. So the first death for somebody outside of the jungler of the Titans to go the way of the Valhalla Valkyries, who are just running across the map now. I mean, moments ago, I was saying how it's been a very quiet early game from the Valks from that first blood, and seems they took that personal and started picking fights throughout the jungle and now rotated from left side all the way to right to keep it going.
Yeah, they could clearly hear you, and that was the reason. Hanging there like, all right, we got it. J-Mac doesn't think we're getting active. We're going to dive this tower twice, not only to try and kill Layers, but I confirm the kill onto Layers, but also making sure that Paul not able to live underneath that tower. But I still think this is exactly what the Valks comp is meant to do, right? I think BennyQ is supposed to get pressure onto Paul. That makes sense. The Tsukuyomi going full damage here, consistent ults being landed. The Valks are playing their comp as they should. Pyromancer spawns in about a minute. I expect to see a pull almost immediately, trying to get even more ahead as early as you can before the Titans are able to get online. Before Paul gets 3-4 items deep, you know, when he's able to start half health to one-shotting you with every combo, before Stuart rotates into these fights, the Valks need to keep it up, and they're doing great so far.
The Valks won't be able to get to the Greater Scorpion. That one's at least dropped by the Titans. A little under 1,500 gold up for the Valhalla Valkyries to separate themselves from the Tartarus Titans in gold. Kirmi, W keys at Layers' back Harpy camp. Will now want to try and W key away maybe. Kirmi doesn't have beads, get away from Ragnarok, so he'll eat the full damage from it, but he'll fire a little bit of it back on his own. SOT behind. Aquarius on the way to try and bail out Kirmi, who should be fine with the help of BennyQ. Those Caltrops make it to where SOT does not want to walk that direction. And Aurora not able to grab the pull with that gravity well means that Aquarius will be just fine.
Yeah, chasing through that, not going to need the call. BennyQ is doing so much damage with that fully stacked Transcendence and the Tier 2 Mace. I just think Layers was trying to decide between trying to pull Kirmi into the Tier 2 tower and bringing him over to Aurora. Realized immediately there was never going to be a kill opportunity, so did as much damage as he could without channeling Brutalize and stood back. But this is a Pele that's got a full Erendite now. It's going to be very hard to fight into this. I mean, Kirmi is looking real good on the Pele, 3-0 currently, has the Blink available. I'm just looking where Kirmi's going to fight next. I assume towards Paul. It's going to be a good option. The Vulcan doesn't have too many tools to try and get away from the double assassin dive. Pyromancer did spawn in 30 seconds ago, but no sort of pressure towards it. The Valhalla Valkyries are fine. Just buying their time for the time being. More so just looking to, you know, see if they can find any jungle fights. That's been what they're looking for, the skirmishes around these camps. That's about it.
I think more than anything, Charlie, I'm waiting for once the solo laners start getting involved. SOT has always been a big factor for his team. Aquarius, especially for the Valhalla Valkyries, and on this tier specifically, has been a massive win condition for them in sets of past. I mean, you look back over to the Camelot King set, Aquarius in game 1 and 3 of that set, really working wonders on this tier and for his team. We'll have to wait on the solo laners coming through, because it says the jungler's trying to put some damage to the solo laner. Aquarius goes through. Dash is good. Keeps away from one Fearless. Talos ult will channel. So Aquarius will be fine. Pretty big heal for himself. All that cooldown is keeping this Guan Yu alive. Kirmi the one in danger. Use the ultimate to slam it into SOT, but SOT's got backup with layers. And with Aurora being here, SOT pushing on the tower. That's still not enough? Are you absolutely kidding me? Piercing Moonlight now from BennyQ. Is that enough damage? It is enough just to take him down. And maybe Aurora as well. Stun is good onto the support. He gets a pretty big heal back for himself. Paul shows up, and the Earthshaker goes through. Won't do a whole lot of damage. Aurora still living out, as well as Layers. A 1-for-1 trade, but that's SOT for a shutdown on Kirmi.
Yeah, the shutdown on a Kirmi is absolutely massive. I thought SOT might have been able to make it through. One more dash, I think, would have been good enough, but good hits by BennyQ. I mean, the juke shoes were there. You could see Sot was going back and forth, but BennyQ was making sure to land that Piercing Moonlight onto this Guan Yu. And I think that's what the Tartarus Titans needed, because so far it was just been all aggression coming from the Valks. With a 5-2 lead, you'd expect the gold to be a little bit more in their favor, but 800 at this point, not going to be the biggest deal. And I think Paul, with that full breastplate as well as hitting over to level 12, should mean that these assassins can't really bully him anymore in the jungle. We saw the Earthshaker wasn't doing too much damage, but that's sort of why you don't want Vulcan to get to 3-4 items. Only 2 items in, especially when one of them gives you 0 power. Paul's not online just yet.
No, Paul not hitting as hard as he could, but definitely has many ability rotations to go through. I mean, 30% CDR just into his kit alone, so he'll throw a lot out.
Oh, he's got 40 now.
They just might not hit too much. Oh, he does have 40. Had the best gold investment in the game, that 900 gold for the 10% CDR. He's got it, baby.
He's got the Gem of Fate. That's all he wants, is to spam his cooldowns even more.
I'll be honest, Trelly, I kept mixing up Gem of Fate and Gem of Focus's names for the longest times.
That'd be crazy if Paul had Gem of Focus right now. That'd mean he's level 20.
That would. That would be crazy.
And then he would really never die. But finally, someone on the Pyromancer, not the team I expected. The second this goes down, the Valks better be looking at gold. I mean, they heard the noise.
They looked at it. They put their eyes on the Gold Fury.
I was waiting for it. They've got the vision. They've got the oracles. They know at least 2 members are over there, but that's it. They're not going for any early Gold Furies. They don't feel that confident. They don't have the burst. And they didn't know that Paul just ulted, to be fair. They didn't know who was on Pyro, but you got to assume, right?
Look, you just said put their eyes on the Gold Fury.
That's
they
fair.
did. They had 3 or 4 people set their eyes to Gold Fury, but none of them decided to fire their weapons or punch it or whatever their god may or may not use as a weapon in this instance. Tartarus Titans, though, now grouping up to the left side. Gold Fury surely going to be a little bit more difficult for the Valkyries to go for with everybody here. Layers goes up to the Ragnarok, but he's walking through all those Caltrops to dive in and a Piercing Moonlight.
Wow.
Just the damage from the beams are enough. BennyQ on a killing spree of his own
Gamma's so
to max
sick.
out of Kirmi. And now the Gold Fury, being more than just looked at, will be struck by the Valhalla Valkyries. Aurora has ult. I was wondering if he was going to maybe try and fire it to go for a 50-50 steal, and by that I mean it's like a 5% chance steal.
You'd rather ult the purple buff and not be able to steal that.
Look, purple's way more important, man. Let's be real.
That's true. Gamma confirms that kill. I mean, that was... Sure, BennyQ did all the damage, but if that wall does not block in Layers there, he just runs away with Ragnarok and doesn't care. But he had to turn around and say, oh no, this wall's here. I can't go that way. Run the whole way back and took all that damage in the process. That kill, I'm giving sole credit over to Gamma for a beautiful play. But the Fury also goes down. Still, the gold lead's not outrageous. It's bordering that 2K mark, but not quite up to it. So the Tartarus Titans have the ability to fight back in, about 1,800 currently. And also, these ADCs have not gotten active. I mean, I just saw the damage chart. Stewart and Wowie.
They're vibing.
Yeah, they're vibing at the bottom. 1,900 for Stu and 4K there for Wowie. It's just been heals and clearing the minion wave. That's been about it. These ADCs just don't want to get active. They don't have to. There's nothing that's forcing them to fight early on. As the team fights continue, you know, rotating over to fire should open up some doors, but so far they haven't had to leave lane yet.
No, most of the action has been either complete opposite side of the map to where there's no reason for them to leave, or has been over towards them. So we saw the Gold Fury for the Valkyries just moments ago. A Pyromancer was for the Tartarus Titans. That's maybe why this gold isn't quite as massive of a difference as we would expect for a 6-2 game that the Valkyries have up All 6 of their kills, though, are on Kirmi and BennyQ, that mid 2v2 of the Valkyries. The one stepping up for the damage, and at least the kill column, though, as you say, giving credit over towards Gamma for the setup. Maybe have a couple of these kills. Kirmi just wants to secure his back harpy camp, but can't do so. Aurora and SOT managed to steal that one away, and despite the great lead that the Valks have in a couple of different places on the map, the far side laners are the ones who are falling behind for the Valhalla Valkyries. Just a little.
Yeah, they're not stepping up too far, but are able to get some free farm every once in a while. Layers is sitting around the left side of the map, though. I'm wondering to see if he wants to get aggressive onto anyone. All beads are available except for BennyQ's for 10 seconds, so it would essentially be an attempt at beads, and that's it. I don't think there's any 100-0 opportunity here for level 14 Fenrir, especially when you're looking at the carries. Wow, he's sitting at 15, not too bad. Stewart's got a 2-level lead, though. I mean, that's really going to start to add up. This Cupid has been able to find, XP-wise, a fair bit over Wowie on this side of the map. But the itemization is looking just fine. Executioner and Odibo doesn't quite have that Kins online, isn't ready to shred through these tanks just yet, but that AoE damage really does start to add up. And 3 shells, I think that's also something the Tartarus Titans need. When they're grouped up, if they can channel their shells properly, okay, you pop one first, I pop one second, they really can mitigate a lot of what the Valkyries are trying to do, especially with things like BennyQ's ultimate or the autos from Kirmi's ultimate. A big portion of their damage can be mitigated if they time these shells properly.
And then even look to the opposite side, the Valkyries have picked up, at least for now, 2 shells of their own. Gamma still hasn't gone back to base post level 12 to pick up his second relic. We'll have to keep our eyes on where that one goes. No Bracer, no Frenzy for the Valkyries that maybe Mifflin was hoping to see.
Unlucky.
For this Piercing Moonlight to kind of go crazy, but
to pierce even more.
Yeah, to pierce beyond the heavens.
Pierce the sunlight, that'd be crazy.
That would be.
Because, like, destroying the moon, that's been done before, but destroying the sun?
Even stealing the moon has been done.
Yeah, so much, but, piercing the sunlight, that's something you need Bracer for. you don't have it currently, unless Aurora grabs it, or sorry, Gamma grabs it rather. Aurora already has the Bracer. If Gamma was able to grab it in that last slot, could be something they're looking at. But the Valks, getting aggressive towards Pyromancer, no one's close but Aurora. Not going to be able to steal it, but does drop the ult.
Valkyries do get the Pyro. Can they get out of the fight, though? Seems so. Tartarus Titan is not willing to push up into enemy territory, even at this stage of the game with how close the game has been. 3K up for the Valhalla Valkyries here in game number 2. Did a very nice early pacing for themselves. Still sitting 6-2 on the kills. Those haven't changed very much in the last few minutes of play. And I was talking about wanting to see the soul laners get active. At this point, I just want to see anyone. I want to see anyone. I want to see the Hunters do something. Stewart is sitting on goose eggs for the time, and last game he was one of the carries for his squad.
Stu hits 2 autos, his damage doubles. Like actually, like he's looking at 4K if that Odibo proc. So I also can't wait. I'm excited for it. If it ever happens, maybe it won't. Maybe this is one of those games where it'll just slowly push, and then no one will die, and the Phoenixes will be looked at. But at the moment, Fury spawns back in. Oni Fury could really start to change the way the map is played. Both teams are here, and Soul Laners have made the rotation. Sot and Aquarius would love to try and get active in these fights. We've been talking about the ADCs. They are also here towards this Oni Fury. This might be the first true 5v5 of the game. We're 20 minutes in. What's going to be the opening? And it looks like it's onto Aurora.
Aurora could be a good target. Blink. Knock up by Kirmi, Fearless as well, but Aurora still lives through, picks up Aquarius and gets the beads away from the tier. Now Gamma, I think ran out, beads away from the Terra, who will use the ultimate. Sunlight Swords hits Stewart, Fearless will be pushed away. And in goes Stewart to finally find a kill for himself and put himself in the kill column. And now Gamma will be joining him. It's a double kill for Stewart. SOT still running at Kirmi and Wowie, but might want to get out of the Phoenix for the time being, or out of the tower, I should say. Aurora almost going down during this one, but he will still live through.
Stu did 7K, if you were curious.
He
He went from 2,000 to 9,000 player damage.
Okay, get Stu in these fights more.
He is. You're welcome. He's arrived. That's what I'm saying.
First team fight, and Stu quadruples or more his player damage.
I told you, 2 autos and he double, 4 autos and he quadruple, and it's not done yet.
BennyQ can't get the dashes through. It's another kill for Stu. Earthshaker erases Kirmi off the map, and Wowie can only sit by as his team falls down. When we talk about quadruple, how about quintupling the player damage of Stewart? Sure, he dies in that fight. So it's a 3 kills for himself, 1 death, 1 assist throughout all of that, but a fury to the Tartarus Titans in a tier 1 tower.
They're able to pretty much put themselves in the lead here if they get any more bit of farm. Stay away the Greater Scorpion, take away the Valk's Jungle, and that should actually put the gold in their favor. It was a bit, though. I mean, the Fury took a while to go down. They finally got Stewart into the fight. He gets 3 kills. His build certainly coming online. I mean, this is what the Tartarus Titans are waiting for. This is what we were waiting for. Any sort of engagement where it actually involved the side lanes. Like, solo laners rotated all the way in. Aquarius had some good plays, but I think mostly Aqua and Gamma getting their bead stripped so early on just made sure that a beautiful ultimate from SOT could set up for the rest of the Tartarus Titans there, and that will put them in the lead, gold-wise, for the first time in quite some time. It was all Valks for a bit, and I think that's off the back of Assassins in the early should just be out pressuring. I mean, Kirmi and BennyQ show up massive in the early, but haven't been able to find much else besides those early kills they were able to receive. But now we're looking at a possible Fire Giant siege here shortly. Stewart's going to dash over. They know what happened last time when the Valks were at fire uncontested for a bit. They're not making the same mistake twice.
No, Aurora has stopped by, drops a bracer for him and his team, whether that be for engage or for retreat. Scorpion started by Layers, but quickly stopped. So the Fire Giant is on the eyes of the Valhalla Valkyries, but not going to make commitment to it. Just as soon as they all group up, they start pushing themselves away from the objective for the time being, and maybe a focus on the SOT. Dash gets him just enough distance to get away from a Fearless from Aqua. And with a Trebuchet there, that'll at least divert the attention of the Valkyries from away from the players, away from the objective, and instead towards the now broken Trebuchet that has fallen in the right lane.
Yeah, I've got no doubts that Stewart was going to go back to left and say, hey, I need Death's Temper or Death's Embrace. Let me go farm. But then the whole team was like, no, no, no. Last time we did this, the Valks got a free Fire Giant. You are not leaving. And Stewart's like, all right, fine. I'll stick around with you guys. And now it's left lane's going to go untouched, and the rest of the Titans are going to sit around this area. They've got the vision. Actually, the Valks have a bit more coverage towards the Fire Giant, but I'm wondering what's going to be the initiator here. Beads still up for just about everyone except for Kirmi for 10 more seconds, and Layers Beads also on a similar cooldown. So there's no good start to the fight anymore. It used to be, you know, jump stun, maybe a Ragnarok pulled in, or more specifically Aquarius wants to go in for a Blink Fearless and try and lead the way. Aurora could be the one to be looked at. He's got the shell and the bracer. Catch him out, pull him into the team. You certainly could die. Double Heartseeker, the Titan's Bane's online, lots of crits coming from Wowie. But that Spectral Armor, certainly going to be worth it here for Aurora.
Sada's
He didn't want to move.
he doesn't want to, but he kept walking through. Those Caltrops, man.
They'll get you.
Those do a lot of damage. I'm just going to say it.
If it didn't slow, it would feel so much better just to walk
yeah.
over and take the damage. But because it slows, you're like, I'd rather just stand still.
It's like actually walking through Lego. That's what we need to get.
That's a good
for a
skin
Tsukiyomi
idea.
skin. We need to get it to where he drops a field of Legos, because then he'll actually feel the real pain, just like walking through a real field of Caltrops.
I don't want to do either of those things.
No, I don't want to.
But I don't mind a possible Fire Giant pull as Aurora drops the bracer, going to help the DPS towards this objective. But once again, we're not seeing that engage. We're not seeing anyone start this fight or start the pull. It's just a poke battle. I seriously doubt Aurora's going to walk up and pull anyone. You know, that's not going to happen. No one's going to let that happen. So SOT finally makes a tank. The rest of the team comes through. Remember, Paul's got the burst here. This is where the Valhalla Valkyries got to get to.
Fire to half. BennyQ drops Caltrops in the middle of the pit. Not going to do too much here. Kirmi has joined the fight. Stewart is almost gone. He dashes out, but Kirmi ults right into his own death. Now Stewart boxing up against BennyQ, loses that one to the Piercing Moonlight, but a stun by Layers and a brutalized in. Layers takes down BennyQ. Aquarius picks up Layers, but Aurora will keep him alive. Stun Sword's not enough for Wowie. Jump away by Layers, and it's now Aurora to deal with Wowie and Aqua, but SOT has joined in the mix. The crit's not doing a whole lot of damage up against SOT or against Aurora. Wowie has to dash away, but Paul rejoining the fray. Magma Bomb plus Layers takes down Wowie. Pick up by Aurora, beads the way by Aqua. Slowed down by the two tanks while Paul and Layers run down Gamma. Nowhere for the Terror to go. 4 of the Valks are gone.
Aquarius is still here, though. He's done it before. He's got the ultimate available. Lawbringer could really start to shake up this siege. Paul doesn't look like he's got too much HP and is trying to play his own duty, but Aquarius wants to get in here. He wants to try and go for the steal. It looks like the team called him off. I'm actually surprised. Looks like Layers is going to play his own duty, and the Titans will wait for Stewart, and they'll be able to grab that Fire Giant. 5 strong on everyone. Layers is chasing this one real far.
Layers might actually just kill Aqua. One more
Wow.
auto does it. Quite a bit of damage there, but maybe that Hydra serrated combo that Layers has picked up for himself.
And the Bumba's
Paying
hammer.
off. Bumba's Hammer included. All 5 of the Tartarus Titans get the Fire Giant as Stewart. The team so graciously waited for their carry to come back to life before dropping the objective.
I mean, I was watching, you know, WoWy dived the back line. It looked like once Layers beat and had ult, I was like, okay, maybe WoW's going to be able to finish this kill. Rolling Thunder a bit off the mark. Layers jumps out. And then when I saw him crit, saw it
For like
for 120. Yeah, it was like, oh, your regular autos do 78, crits hit for 120. I was like, this is over. There's no way. And that's without even a Spectral. Sot does not have Spectral. Aurora does. I imagine the crits on him are hitting for like 90. It's not looking too good. Wow, he definitely needs some more penetration online. Even with the Executioner, it's just not enough for the Ishtar to shred through these tankier targets. The Tartarus Titans got themselves a nice 4K gold lead. They're going to the Primal Fury, as well as dealing with the 3 Tier 2 towers still standing and the 1 Tier 1 on right. This is when the late game comps come online, though, and the Titans certainly have drafted one. I think the Valks, I mean, Benny Q can trade for a kill. Kirmi unfortunately died before he could even find one. And those are who you're counting on to do the majority of your team fight damage.
I want to say that Kirmi's head was in the right place in that last fight.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Unfortunately, he volcanic lightning directly into Stewart's autos, and so his head was eating the arrow shots instead. The Valhalla Valkyries now down against the Tartarus Titans. A 6,000 gold lead for the Order side team, and still with some free gold on the map to be taken. As Tier 2 and mid falls down, still a Tier 1 and Tier 2 on the right side of the map that could be dealt with, but it'll be a 3-2 split for the Titans and the Valkyries as they head towards the Birds. Layers jumps in place, doesn't find anything. A cavalry charge by SOT. He'll go in and at least pop the bubble away from Kirmi. Aquarius dealing with Layers. Beads gone from the Fenrir. But the 2v2, and at least the healing game, is in favor of the Titans with the Squan U.
Yeah, I can see the mindset. It looks like Layers and Sot wanted just all in Kirmi. Brutalized, chases down Volcanic Lightning. They find the kill. Let's see if they can do it. And yeah,
What?
see? I told you, that's the plan.
Well, okay, so Kirby's gone.
Yup.
Aqua picked up. Piercing Moonlight in. This could be the turnaround that they need. Earthshaker off the mark. Penny Q hit by the meatball. And then immediately surrounded by 4. He goes down. Stewart. Oh, wait, was SOT trying to block
I
him
thought
in
he
the
pushed him
Caltrops?
in, man. I thought he was going to be in the
What?
Caltrops some more.
Stewart, you know Stewart's about to rage if he dies to Caltrops because of that. But the Titans move in. Meatball hits 2. 1 picked up. It's Aqua. He gets the mantle proc to save his life for only a moment. As Stewart picks up another kill for himself, it is just Gamma left. And the Tartarus Titans, and Gamma can't even go back on his own volition. He blinks past Layers. But the rest of the Titans into the throne room. Game number 2 in the set will go to the Tartarus Titans.
Yeah, they're going to kill Gamma one more time. Here comes Kirmi in 7 seconds, actually. This is taking a while. Kirmi might have a chance just to throw out the ultimate just to see, but more so Paul looking for the spawn camp. Oh, Kirmi, no!
Unfortunate for Kirmi. He got to see the light of day only for it to be immediately squashed.
I don't even know if he got to see the light of day, honestly.
The moment it goes from grayscale, it's like that, like, oh, hallelujah, I can see clearly now. And then the fog rolls in and the Earthshaker takes him out entirely. Great game by the Tartarus Titans. Great start, though, by the Valkyries. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
they keep this game up, keep it interesting, a few thousand gold up in the lead, but Tartarus Titans, when they start getting around these objectives, and specifically once they start fighting around Stewart,
Yep.
who quintupled his damage in a single team fight.
And we said, hey, we want to see Stu get active. He said, all right, I got 2K. By the end of the fight, I got like 9 to 11,000. That's all he really needed. And also, I think the Valks played to their strengths very well. They knew the double assassin would get pressure in mid. They got the pressure. Unfortunately, once the carries got online, once Paul and Stewart started swinging, that late game really did suit the Tartarus Titans a little bit more.
Tartarus Titans able to bring it back together for game number 2. Take the set and take the game for themselves. That's it from us on the cast. We'll throw it over to the desk to break it down.
Fortunately for the Valhalla Valkyries, their race to 6th place is off to a pretty rough start. The Tartarus Titans now starting to pick up some momentum for themselves heading into the Phase 3 playoffs. So lots of dynamics starting to change now between all of the teams that we have playing here towards the end of phase number 3. This one, a really, really good look for the Titans. I admire the creativity from the Valhalla Valkyries. Simply does not work. Mifflin with me one final time to break down this game and this set. And Miff, I think, you favor the Titans anyway going into this set. Valkyries looked very competitive. That moment in game number 1. This one feels a bit more lopsided to the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, with the draft being 4 physical for the Valkyries and Paul being Paul, so he's going to build Breastplate of Valor no matter what, he just got like an inherent buff to himself, not having to worry about nearly as much damage coming his way. Piercing Moonlight combo from Tsukiyomi didn't feel like it was allowed to be like really leveraged during the laning phase too often either. But the Valkyries do get off to a great start in this game. It's really on the Titans' ability to buckle down and find great opportunities to fight back in, or maybe just great ult placements from Paul. I mean, that really felt like it was a difference maker in this one.
Smart for the Titans. The cast was talking about it a little bit, how the Cupid damage a bit low to start off, but then the moment they actually started fighting around Stuart on the Cupid, just skyrockets up the damage charts. Really felt almost like the Titans playing with their food a bit there by the end of that game as well here, Miff. So I think some good takeaways, and we'll get to break it down a little bit further here in just a moment. But if you're looking at every single individual player, some performances that we needed to see as far as standout, we needed to see a good one from Layers. Wanted to see Sot continue to do his thing. Paul had a really nice set as well. And all the Tartarus Titans really came to play in this one. Make quick work of the Valhalla Valkyries and improve themselves up here in the standings. But by the end of that game, it was the stupid that was swinging, and Stuart standing by with J-Mac for the post-game interview.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stuart, from the Tartarus Titans here for our post-game. And Stu, kind of talk to me about game number 2. I mean, it was sitting there, you and Wowie kind of smacking each other for a couple autos throughout the game. Was there a point where you just said, guys, I'm bored, bring a fight over to me? Because it felt like the moment that you were able to get involved in these team fights was kind of the moment the Tartarus Titans were able to just kind of swing back around.
Well, I was always confident in my side fight because I was getting purples off cooldown. I got a 2-level lead, so when we wanted to fight a gold, when they came to fight me and Aurora, and we were able to turn, it was really good.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely kind of the point where it felt like the Titans were able to break this one open, kind of get yourselves a little bit back in this game. And kind of going down early against the Valkyries, I mean, for a team like you guys, we know the Valkyries haven't been the most consistent when it comes to late game. Was that okay, we're only down a few thousand, kind of no worries in the brain for your team?
Oh, yeah, of course. I think we draft them kind of with our healing comp and stuff, so we weren't worried at all.
And in game number 1, it felt pretty dominant for you guys for a little while there. I mean, you guys didn't really seem like you had any worries going through. And as you kind of start moving through the remainder of your phase, you only have a few matchups left. And how important is every single one of these matchups for your team to kind of continue to maybe try and break into that top 4?
Of course, I think all of them are important, and just get more practice and stuff. So I think, like you said, really important, all of them.
Yeah, making sure you guys can keep on the top there. And, we've been seeing the Valks, the 6 kind of be the rising trend. You think that with a loss here for the Valkyries and maybe for your team, you kind of maybe have stopped that one in its tracks?
Yeah, of course. Is what it is,
Is what it is. Well, Stuart from the Tartarus Titans, congratulations on your win over the Valkyries. I'll let you get back with the team to celebrate, and we'll throw it back over to the desk to break it down.
That's right, another good one here for the Tartarus Titans, and hopefully for them and their fans, some momentum being built towards the end of the phase. Again, all that good, now we'll get to break it down a little bit further. I think a really clean set for most of the players here on the Tartarus Titans. I'll say all of them. Nobody's really getting singled out. I think, Layers really came to play in game 1, and that's what I wanted to see from him. Big standout performance. And then also starting to play around Stuart a little bit. It's exactly what happens here by the end of game 2.
Yeah, the Tartarus Titans certainly figured out how to play from ahead. We saw that in game 1, and how to play from behind in game 2. I think you are right to shout out Layers in particular. I've been a little bit hard on him recently because I know that this guy has been capable in the past of just being one of the standout players for this team and being a playmaker for them. We got a better look at it in game 1, but certainly a strong performance in game 2 as well from Layers. Aside from that, I liked what we've seen from SOT, where he really has just all in on the, hey, I'm going to be a facilitator style play. I'm going to play healers, I'm going to set up these fights, I'm going to find the stuns, and the Guan Yu is a pick that I think suits him very, very well. Just good stuff from the Titans. The only thing I think they're going to go home and talk about after this set is maybe the early game of game 2. Not happy with how ahead the Valhalla Valkyries were able to make themselves, but I think it's all forgiven by the 5-minute mark with 10K for the Titans. Pretty clean.
Well, and Stuart talks in the post-game interview there, feeling like they got the better draft than the Valkyries a couple of times, and so clearly Slaney slotting in mentally with the way a lot of the Titans are thinking here as well.
Slaney's first 2-0 of the year, maybe.
Yeah, honestly.
Dude, this guy is so boosted. Hey, he really picked up a boost squad.
Go ahead. I'll leave you out to dry on this one. Go ahead. You want to keep going or no?
Well, I'm just saying, beforehand, when
Yeah,
he was
I'm
coaching
not
the
bailing you out
team,
here. You started this.
he was getting 3-game losses,
Yeah.
and he jumped ship to another team, and he got a 2-0. I'm just saying he's a little bit boosted, is all I'm saying.
Got it. That's a really backwards way of talking about how good the Titans are and how
Yeah,
well they're
boosting
playing.
the coach, yeah.
Right. 22,000 damage for SOT here in game number 2. Top damage on his team in the game there as well. Really, when the Titans start to get back to their stride, if the Bolts get back to that point, if the Valks and the Scarabs remain competitive, that's where we were, remember, early on in Season 9. Phase 1 felt like everyone was kind of beating everyone. And so if teams can start to build back towards some of that towards the end of the year here, we got a really, really fun run up to Worlds and SMITE World Championship just around the corner. But 1 game left today, 3 games tomorrow. What are we looking at on our schedule? It's the Oni Warriors versus the Jade Dragons. This is the one I've been talking about all weekend long. Because if the Oni Warriors win, tiebreakers will come into effect and we'll see who ends up taking sole possession of that 2nd seed spot. And that'll end our day here on Saturday. Tomorrow, 3 more sets of SMITE, starting with Bolts, Leviathans, Scarabs, Kings. So the Solar Scarabs hoping to fully clean up one of those wins. And then the Jade Dragons and the Tartarus Titans will go to battle. So it could be a couple teams in need of a win tomorrow. Here's a look back at the standings prior to our final set of the day kicking off. So keep your eyes on 2nd seed there. That's the Jade Dragons at the moment. And 4th seed, that's the Oni Warriors. And the Camelot Kings in a really tough spot. They probably don't want the Dragons to win, because that'll put the Dragons 2 games out of reach. But if the Oni Warriors win, they also leapfrog the Camelot Kings. A really tough spot for the Kings to be in. But the race for that 2nd seed heats up. Now the Tartarus Titans with 6 wins here as well. I can't wait to see how the final couple of weeks here of the SPL fully break down, Myth. But Oni Warriors, Jade Dragons, give me some initial beats.
Well, last time these 2 teams played, it did go the full distance. It was actually a much longer set, so I think the Oni Warriors have certainly got some opportunities there. The Jade Dragons since then have been able to regroup a little bit, so perhaps we get back to standard Jade Dragons fare as well. But I don't know. Something about the Oni Warriors as of late really has instilled a little bit of confidence in me in their ability to take these games in those late team fights. The individual performances of their players as well has been very impressive. But it's also the Jade Dragons. Initial beats, it's going to be a good set.
Should be a very, very good set. Now at the top of the standings, as we just saw, the Leviathans, 3 games out of 2nd place and then 4 above the rest. Mathematically, could be some shifting with the Jade Dragons, but I think the Leviathans feeling nice and cozy on top of the standings here. Likely we'll move into the Phase 3 playoffs in one of those top 2 spots. Cannot wait for our final set of the day. It's the Oni Warriors versus the Jade Dragons, a battle for 2nd seed right after this.